There's something magical about Maine's coastline, the crashing waves, the misty mornings, and the steadfast lighthouses that have guided sailors for centuries. But beyond their warm, guiding lights, many of these lighthouses hold stories of the past. Stories of those who never left, whose spirits continue to watch over the waters. Tonight, we'll journey along the rugged shores of Maine, exploring 25 lighthouses where ghostly keepers and spectral sailors still linger, guarding the seas and sharing whispers of history long forgotten. Portland Headlight, standing majestically on the cliffs of Cape Elizabeth, Maine, is more than just one of the state's oldest and most iconic lighthouses. Since its construction in 1791, it has served as a steadfast guardian for mariners navigating the often treacherous waters of Casco Bay. Its white tower, contrasted against the rugged coastline and the ever-changing sea, has been a symbol of safety and hope for centuries. Yet, beneath its historical charm and picturesque views lies a darker, more mysterious legacy, one marked by tragedy, maritime disaster, and lingering spirits. Many who have visited Portland Headlight report experiences that defy explanation, suggesting that the lighthouse is haunted by the very souls it was built to protect. The history of Portland Headlight is rich with both triumph and tragedy. Over the centuries, countless ships have passed its beam, some making it safely to harbor, while others met their fates against the jagged rocks below. The lighthouse keepers, who once lived in the adjoining keeper's house, bore the weighty responsibility of maintaining the light, ensuring that it remained operational through storms, fog, and freezing winters. It was a solitary and demanding life, often requiring long hours and unwavering vigilance. These keepers became intimately connected with the sea, forming bonds not only with the vessels they guided, but also with the countless sailors whose lives hung in the balance. Stories tell that some of these keepers never left the lighthouse, even in death, their spirits continuing the watch they so faithfully performed in life. Visitors to Portland Headlight frequently recount eerie experiences, particularly around the old keeper's quarters. Footsteps echoing in empty hallways, doors opening and closing on their own, and shadows flitting across walls are common reports. Many describe the sensation of being watched, a persistent feeling that an unseen presence is nearby. Some witnesses have reported glimpsing figures dressed in period clothing, silently patrolling the cliffs or standing near the very spots where ships met their untimely ends. These apparitions are often described as calm yet purposeful, as if they are still tending to the duties they performed in life, ensuring that the lighthouse continues to guide the living safely through the dangerous waters. The cliffs surrounding Portland Headlight have witnessed countless shipwrecks, adding to the area's haunted reputation. Locals and visitors alike speak of hearing distant cries over the crashing waves or feeling sudden gusts of cold wind that seem to have no source. Some have reported seeing shadowy figures moving across the rocks, only to vanish when approached. Paranormal investigators visiting the lighthouse have captured unusual electromagnetic readings, unexplained cold spots, and even fleeting images on infrared cameras, all suggesting that the spirits of both keepers and lost sailors may remain tethered to the location. One of the most compelling stories involves the keeper's duties during violent storms. On particularly stormy nights, it is said that the light would mysteriously shine brighter, as though aided by a spectral hand. Witnesses claim to have seen the figure of a keeper, sometimes accompanied by the faint outline of another figure, making their way along the cliffs to ensure the lamp was functioning. These apparitions vanish as quickly as they appear, leaving only the crashing waves and the creaking of the lighthouse structure as evidence of their presence. Many believe that these spirits are drawn to the lighthouse by their enduring sense of duty, watching over the waters and continuing to prevent further tragedies long after their earthly lives have ended. Even during calmer days, the lighthouse exudes a strange and unsettling energy. Visitors exploring the keeper's house often report inexplicable noises, faint footsteps following them through the corridors, whispers in empty rooms, and the subtle shifting of objects that cannot be accounted for. Shadows seem to move just beyond the corner of one's eye, and many describe a feeling of being gently observed, as if the spirits are silently ensuring their safety while remaining unseen. Some researchers suggest that these experiences are the result of residual energy, the lingering imprint of decades of human activity, worry, and care, etched into the very walls and floors of the lighthouse. The lighthouse's allure is not only historical but also deeply personal. Countless sailors and their families owe their lives to the guidance of Portland Headlight, and the stories of hauntings often reflect this intimate connection. Visitors report a sense of reverence mixed with unease, feeling the weight of history and the echoes of those who once kept the light burning through stormy nights. The spirits are said to be patient and vigilant, continuing their watch over the sea, as if bound by an eternal sense of responsibility. In addition to apparitions, Portland Headlight is known for other unexplained phenomena. Sudden drops in temperature, inexplicable drafts, and faint melodic sounds, reminiscent of the lighthouse foghorn, have been reported by those spending time near the tower. Some accounts even mention the smell of salt and brine intensifying inexplicably, as if the spirits themselves are calling attention to the sea they once loved and protected. Paranormal investigators have documented some of these occurrences, noting patterns that suggest the lighthouse is more than a historical monument. It is a conduit for lingering souls. Despite its spectral presence, Portland Headlight remains a place of beauty and history, attracting tourists, photographers, and maritime enthusiasts. The haunting stories, rather than detracting from the site, add to its mystique, offering a glimpse into the lives of those who dedicated themselves to protecting sailors and guiding ships safely to shore. The lighthouse stands as a living testament to the intertwining of human endeavor, natural danger, and the enduring mystery of the supernatural. Today, Portland Headlight continues to shine as a beacon along the Maine coast, its light cutting through fog and storm, carrying with it the silent vigilance of those who once tended its lamp. The ghostly keepers and wandering spirits of lost sailors remain, tied to the cliffs, the rocks, and the sea, a reminder that some duties are so sacred they extend beyond death. Visitors who walk the grounds, exploring the keeper's quarters or gazing out toward the Atlantic, are often struck by a sensation that they are not alone. The spirits of Portland Headlight are ever watchful, guiding, protecting, and silently reminding all who pass that some lights never truly go out, and some souls never truly leave. Portland Headlight is more than a historic landmark. It is a place where history, tragedy, and the supernatural converge. Its cliffs, tower, and keeper's quarters hold stories that span centuries, and the whispers, shadows, and footsteps reported by countless visitors suggest that the lighthouse is still very much alive in spirit. For those who stand on its rocks and look out over the sea, there is a haunting comfort in knowing that the watch never ends, that the ghosts of Portland Headlight continue their eternal vigil, ensuring the waters remain safe and the light never fades. Pemaquid Point Light, perched dramatically on the rocky coast of Bristol, Maine, is a lighthouse renowned for its breathtaking panoramic views and rich historical significance. Since its construction in 1827, it has served as a guiding beacon for countless mariners navigating the unpredictable waters of the Atlantic. Its white tower and red-roofed keeper's house stand as a testament to both human ingenuity and resilience, perched against a backdrop of crashing waves and rugged cliffs. Yet, beyond its scenic beauty and historical importance, Pemaquid Point Light has earned a reputation for strange and unexplainable occurrences. Over the years, keepers, visitors, and paranormal investigators have reported a host of eerie phenomena, suggesting that this lighthouse may be more than just a structure of stone and light. It may be a place where the past lingers and restless spirits continue their watch over the waters. The lighthouse itself is striking in both appearance and purpose. The tower rises steadily above the shoreline, its lamp once meticulously maintained by devoted keepers who lived in the attached quarters. These keepers endured isolation, harsh weather, and the constant responsibility of ensuring that ships avoided the dangerous rocks that jagged the coastline. For decades, their lives were intertwined with the lighthouse and the sea, creating a bond that some believe endures even after death. Stories passed down from local residents tell of keepers who vanished mysteriously or sailors lost despite the lighthouse's guidance. These tales contribute to the sense that Pemaquid Point Light carries not only history but also echoes of tragedy and human presence that refuse to fade. Visitors to the lighthouse frequently report experiences that defy logical explanation. Keepers have historically recounted hearing disembodied voices within the quarters, particularly late at night or during storms when the wind howls across the cliffs. Some describe whispers calling out from empty rooms, as though long-departed souls are still tending to the duties they once held so dear. Others have reported sudden cold drafts sweeping through areas with no open windows or doors, chilling them to the bone. Many who have explored the tower and surrounding grounds describe an uncanny sensation of being watched, as if unseen eyes track every movement across the rocky cliffs and the crashing surf. One of the most frequently reported apparitions is that of a figure wearing an old sailor-esque coat. Witnesses claim to see this figure standing silently on the cliffs or near the edge of the lighthouse grounds, gazing out over the turbulent waters. The apparition often appears in moments of heavy fog or at dusk, shrouded partially in mist, giving the impression of a ghostly guardian silently overseeing the ocean. Those who have encountered it describe a feeling of calm and quiet vigilance, as if the spirit is still committed to ensuring that ships do not meet the deadly rocks below. Occasionally, the figure seems to vanish when approached, leaving only the crashing waves and the wind as a reminder of its presence. Beyond apparitions, Pemaquid Point Light is known for objects moving without explanation. Doors in the keeper's house have been reported opening and closing on their own, while small items sometimes shift or disappear, only to reappear in different locations. Some visitors have even noted that chairs or other furnishings seem slightly displaced, as if someone or something has been tending to the space in subtle, unseen ways. These movements are often accompanied by other phenomena, including the faint sounds of footsteps or low murmurs echoing through empty hallways, creating an atmosphere that is simultaneously eerie and captivating. Cold spots add another layer of mystery to the lighthouse. Visitors describe areas of sudden, inexplicable chill, often in corners of rooms or near doorways. These cold pockets are frequently reported alongside other paranormal events, suggesting a connection between physical sensations and the lingering presence of spirits. Paranormal investigators have recorded these temperature anomalies with thermal sensors, noting sudden drops that cannot be accounted for by weather conditions or drafts. Many believe these cold spots are a manifestation of the residual energy left behind by keepers and sailors, an imprint of lives once intimately connected to the lighthouse and the sea. The history of Pemaquid Point Light provides context for these supernatural occurrences. The lighthouse has guided countless vessels, some of which were doomed to shipwreck despite its light. The keepers, living in relative isolation, often endured intense emotional and physical strain, forming bonds with the sailors they protected and mourning those lost despite their efforts. Over decades, their experiences, combined with the tragic fates of sailors, may have left a lasting imprint on the lighthouse, creating an environment where echoes of the past are still perceptible to those sensitive to them. In addition to ghostly figures and unexplained movements, the lighthouse has been associated with auditory phenomena. Visitors report hearing faint creaks, whispers, and even distant commands in the tower or along the cliffside. These sounds are particularly prominent on foggy mornings or during storms, times when the lighthouse was historically most active and when keepers would have been on constant alert. Some theorists suggest that the lighthouse may act as a conduit for these echoes, channeling the memories and energy of those who once walked its halls and kept watch over the perilous waters. Despite these haunting tales, Pemaquid Point Light remains a beloved historical landmark and tourist destination. The lighthouse draws photographers, historians, and travelers eager to experience both its scenic beauty and its eerie reputation. Many visitors approach the lighthouse with a mix of reverence and curiosity, aware that the cliffs, tower, and keeper's quarters hold not just historical significance, but also lingering presences that defy explanation. The combination of stunning coastal vistas, rich history, and supernatural lore creates a unique atmosphere, captivating the imagination of all who visit. The lighthouse's enduring appeal lies not only in its practical purpose, but in its connection to the human stories embedded within its walls. The apparitions, whispers, and sudden cold drafts all serve as reminders of the lives devoted to maintaining the light and the sailors who relied upon it. Some believe that the spirits at Pemaquid Point Light continue their watch, acting as silent guardians over the sea, ensuring that the vessels navigating these waters remain safe. Visitors often leave with a profound sense of connection to the past, feeling the presence of those who once inhabited the lighthouse, their dedication and vigilance echoing through time. Pemaquid Point Light stands as a beacon not just for ships, but for the stories of the past, preserving the memory of those who dedicated their lives to the sea. The haunting experiences reported by visitors, spectral figures in sailors' coats, cold drafts, disembodied voices, and moving objects remind us that some places hold more than history. They hold the spirits of those who have passed, continuing their watch in death as they did in life. For those who walk along the cliffs or explore the keeper's house, there is an unsettling yet comforting realization that the lighthouse remains alive in spirit, its ghostly guardians ensuring that even in the fog, the rocks below remain unseen and the light never fades. Bass Harbor Headlight, perched on a rugged promontory in Tremont, Maine, is a lighthouse that has guided countless mariners through the perilous waters of Mount Desert Island. Its white tower and red-roofed keeper's house stand as a striking landmark against the rocky coastline, offering panoramic views of the Atlantic Ocean. While Bass Harbor Headlight is celebrated for its scenic beauty and historical significance, it is also known for stories that are far less tangible. For decades, visitors, overnight guests, and lighthouse enthusiasts have reported strange occurrences, whispers in empty rooms, sudden chills, and sightings of ghostly figures that suggest this lighthouse is more than a mere beacon. It is a place where history, duty, and lingering spirits intersect, creating an atmosphere that is as haunting as it is captivating. The lighthouse was first constructed in the mid-19th century to address the increasing dangers of shipping along the rugged Maine coastline. Mariners relied on its guiding light to navigate treacherous rocks and unpredictable fog, and the keepers who tended the lamp lived a life of isolation, vigilance, and dedication. They maintained the light in all weather conditions, often risking their lives during storms to ensure that the beam remained steady and bright. Over time, these keepers became closely associated with the lighthouse itself. Their daily routines, anxieties, and triumphs imprinted upon the building and its surrounding. Many local legends suggest that the spirits of these dedicated individuals remain even after death, continuing their watch over the rocky promontory and the waters beyond. Overnight guests and visitors have consistently reported unusual experiences within the lighthouse and the keeper's house. One of the most common phenomena is the sensation of whispers in empty rooms. These voices are often soft and indistinct, sometimes sounding like conversations just beyond comprehension or instructions being called out across the stone walls. Guests have described waking in the middle of the night to hear these whispers, only to find the rooms empty and silent once more. Some interpret these sounds as residual echoes of the keepers who once maintained the lamp, their dedication so strong that it reverberates through time. Others believe the whispers are warnings to mariners, the spirit's way of ensuring the safety of anyone navigating the dangerous coastline. Another frequently reported sighting is that of a translucent figure, often identified as a lighthouse keeper, adjusting the lamp in the tower. Visitors have seen this apparition moving methodically, climbing the spiral staircase or tending to the light, only to vanish when approached. The figures described as semi-transparent, dressed in period attire, with movements deliberate and calm, reflecting the meticulous care once required of the keepers. Some theorists suggest that these apparitions are manifestations of the lighthouse's enduring purpose, a physical representation of the unbroken vigilance that has characterized Bass Harbor Headlight for generations. The environment around the lighthouse contributes to its haunting atmosphere. The rocky promontory and the sound of crashing waves create an isolation that amplifies the sense of otherworldly presence. Visitors often report sudden cold spots even on warm summer nights, or the inexplicable sensation of being watched while walking along the cliffs. These feelings of unseen attention are consistent with multiple accounts of paranormal activity, suggesting that the spirits of former keepers, or perhaps even mariners, who lost their lives nearby continue to linger. Some believe that the lighthouse serves as a nexus for this energy, a focal point where the past and present converge, leaving a lingering imprint of duty, loss, and vigilance. Objects moving on their own have also been reported, adding to the lighthouse's reputation for supernatural activity. Doors may swing open or closed without cause, chairs or small items may be displaced, and occasionally, visitors have witnessed lamps or tools in the keeper's quarters shift inexplicably. These occurrences are subtle but unsettling, often accompanied by other phenomena such as whispers or cold drafts. Together, they create an impression that the lighthouse is alive in a way that transcends the physical, as though the spirits of the keepers continue to maintain the lighthouse's functions in their own ethereal form. The history of Base Harbor Headlight is intertwined with the stories of those who depended on its guidance. Shipwrecks along the surrounding waters were common in the 19th and early 20th centuries, and the lighthouse's keepers played a crucial role in preventing further loss of life. Their devotion and courage left an enduring mark, not only on the lighthouse itself, but on the collective memory of the region. Locals recount tales of mariners attributing their safe passage to the light of Bass Harbor, sometimes acknowledging that the unseen presence of the keepers, whether alive or in spirit, was what guided them safely past the treacherous rocks. Even today, Bass Harbor Headlight continues to attract visitors, seeking both history and the thrill of the unknown. Photographers, tourists, and paranormal enthusiasts are drawn to the lighthouse for its dramatic coastal views and its spectral reputation. Those who stay overnight report the same ghostly experiences that have been recounted for decades: whispers, fleeting apparitions, and cold drafts that seem to follow them through the keeper's house. These reports reinforce the lighthouse's mystique, reminding visitors that some places hold more than physical significance. They hold the energy, memories, and perhaps the spirits of those who dedicated their lives to them. The haunting stories of Base Harbor Headlight are not merely tales of fear, but of commitment and protection. The ghosts reported here are often seen as guardians, ensuring that the lighthouse continues to fulfill its role as a beacon of safety, even after their deaths. The apparitions of keepers adjusting the lamp, the whispers in the night, and the occasional shifting of objects all serve as reminders of the lighthouse's enduring purpose and the devotion of those who once served it. Bass Harbor Headlight stands as a testament to the intersection of history, duty, and the supernatural. Its cliffs, tower, and keeper's house bear witness to centuries of maritime activity, human perseverance, and unexplained phenomena. Visitors are reminded that the lighthouse is more than just a picturesque landmark. It is a living archive of memory and spirit. Those who venture to Bass Harbor Headlight may feel the weight of the past, the presence of unseen guardians, and the ongoing vigilance of spirits who continue to watch over the rocks and waters. In this way, the lighthouse remains not only a guiding light for the living, but a place where the duty of the past persists, and where the faithful keepers of yesteryear continued their eternal watch. Cape Nettic, Nubble Light, perched on a rocky islet just off the coast of York, Maine, is one of the most photographed and picturesque lighthouses in the state. Its iconic white tower, with a red-roofed lantern house, has guided sailors safely through the often treacherous waters of the Maine coastline for over a century. By day, it is a serene and beautiful landmark, drawing tourists eager to capture the perfect photograph of its rugged cliffs and the crashing Atlantic waves. Yet behind this idyllic appearance lies a much darker story, one whispered among locals and recounted by those who have experienced its unexplainable phenomena. Nubble Light, as it is affectionately called, is said to be haunted, a place where the line between the living and the spectral seems to blur, and where the spirits of the past continue their watch. The lighthouse was first constructed in 1879 to prevent the numerous shipwrecks that plagued the rocky coastline over the decades. It became not just a guide for mariners, but a home for the keepers who tended the light with diligence and care. These men, and sometimes women, lived in isolation on the small island, enduring the harsh New England weather, foggy nights, and the constant roar of the Atlantic. They became intimately connected to the lighthouse, to the sea, and to the lives of those who depended on its beam. Locals tell stories of keepers who never truly left, whose spirits remained bound to the lighthouse even after their deaths, continuing their solemn duty of ensuring that no ship would meet the rocky shores unawares. Visitors and lighthouse enthusiasts have long reported strange occurrences at Nubble Light, particularly on foggy nights when the isolation of the islet feels most pronounced. Lights in the tower are said to flicker inexplicably, often when no electrical issues exist. Some witnesses describe seeing a faint glow moving within the lantern room, as if a keeper were tending the lamp in the dead of night. These apparitions are typically seen through the mist or fog, appearing only for a moment before vanishing into the night. The fleeting nature of these sightings leaves witnesses both awed and unnerved, a reminder that the lighthouse may be more than a historical structure. It may be a vessel for spirits whose presence is tied to both the land and the sea. One of the most unsettling reports from visitors involves the sensation of being touched or guided by invisible hands. Those who have lingered along the rocky perimeter of the lighthouse at night sometimes describe a sudden pressure on their shoulders, as if a spectral presence were gently warning them of the danger nearby. Others have felt a cold draft that seems to follow them, brushing across the skin in a way that is unmistakably deliberate. These experiences are often accompanied by a heightened awareness, a sense that the spirits of the lighthouse are not malevolent but vigilant, continuing to protect the living from the dangers that once claimed the lives of sailors. Local lore is rich with stories passed down through generations. Longtime residents recall the days when keepers would walk the narrow paths around the lighthouse, tending the lamp in all weather conditions, from driving snowstorms to blinding fog. Some recount tales of apparitions seen patrolling the grounds or standing silently at the edge of the cliffs, gazing out at the Atlantic with unwavering attention. It is said that these spirits are most active during storms or foggy evenings, when the dangers of the sea are most present and the light's guidance most crucial. Those who have spent time near Nubble Light have also reported auditory phenomena, faint footsteps echoing along the rocks, soft whispers, and even distant voices can sometimes be heard when the lighthouse is otherwise empty. On quiet nights, the wind carries strange, almost human-like sounds, further heightening the sense of a spectral presence. Paranormal investigators visiting the lighthouse have documented irregular electromagnetic readings and unexplained cold spots, reinforcing the accounts of visitors who feel the lingering energy of past keepers and sailors. Despite the haunting tales, Nubble Light remains a cherished landmark and a symbol of Maine's maritime heritage. Yet for those attuned to the unseen, the lighthouse is a place of mystery and reverence. The juxtaposition of natural beauty and supernatural intrigue creates an atmosphere that is both breathtaking and unnerving, leaving visitors with a sense that they are witnessing more than just a historic structure. They are glimpsing a site where the past continues to resonate, where the spirits of dedicated keepers and lost sailors may still linger. The haunting of Cape Nettic, Nubble Light is not a tale of fear alone, but a story of vigilance, duty, and connection. The flickering lights, ghostly apparitions, and cold touches serve as reminders of the lighthouse's enduring purpose. The spirits reportedly maintain their watch as they did in life, ensuring the safety of ships and visitors alike. This ongoing presence transforms Nubble Light into more than just a beacon for mariners. It becomes a place where the dedication of the past is immortalized, where those who once kept the light alive continue their eternal vigil. Visitors often leave Nubble Light with a mix of awe and respect, carrying with them the knowledge that this small island lighthouse is a nexus of history, natural beauty, and the supernatural. The ghostly figures, the unexplained phenomena, and the stories passed down through generations all contribute to a unique experience that is at once haunting and comforting. The spirits tied to Nubble Light are said to remind us of the fragile boundary between life and death, of the sacrifices made by those who came before, and of the enduring power of duty and care. Cape Nettig Nubble Light stands as a timeless sentinel, not only over the Atlantic waters, but also over the memories and spirits bound to it. Its beauty draws the living, while its hauntings connect them to the unseen. The lighthouse continues to shine, and for those willing to listen, it whispers the stories of the past, of keepers who never left, and of a watch that has no end. Visitors may admire its exterior by day, but at night, especially when fog and waves collide, they may sense that Nubble Light is not alone, that somewhere on the cliffs and in the lantern tower, the spirits of its devoted guardians continue their eternal vigil. Westquatty Headlight, perched at the easternmost tip of the United States in Lubec, Maine, stands as a sentinel over the rugged coastline, where the Atlantic crashes against jagged cliffs and fog rolls in from the sea. Built in the early 19th century to warn mariners of the treacherous shoals and rocky shores, the lighthouse has long served as a vital guide for ships navigating the often unpredictable waters of the Bay of Fundy. While it is celebrated for its striking red-and white-striped tower and panoramic ocean views, Westquatty Headlight also carries a reputation, far more chilling one, steeped in ghostly lore, unexplained phenomena, and tales of spirits. Still bound to the lighthouse and its surrounding cliffs, the lighthouse has witnessed centuries of maritime history, including numerous shipwrecks along the easternmost coastline. Keepers, who once lived in the adjacent quarters, faced the relentless Atlantic winds, icy winters, and storm-lashed nights while tending the lamp. Their lives were solitary and demanding, requiring unwavering vigilance to keep the light burning and mariners safe. It is perhaps this sense of unwavering duty that has led locals and visitors to believe that some of these keepers never truly left the lighthouse, continuing their watch long after death. Over time, the stories of ghostly apparitions, mysterious sounds, and cold drafts have become interwoven with the history of Westquatty Headlight, turning it into one of Maine's most enigmatic and haunting coastal landmarks. Sightings at the lighthouse are varied but consistently eerie. Many visitors have reported seeing a spectral figure in a long coat, often standing silently at the edge of the cliff, gazing out toward the Atlantic. The apparition appears partially shrouded in mist, giving the impression of someone who has stepped out from another time. Those who have approached the figure describe it as vanishing without a trace, leaving only the roar of the waves and the whipping wind. Witnesses often report a feeling of being watched, as though the spirit is surveying the rocky coastline, ensuring that no ship strays too close to the perilous rocks below. Some believe this ghostly figure is one of the original keepers, bound by an eternal duty to protect mariners from the dangers of the sea. The keepers' quarters, now abandoned, are also central to the lighthouse's haunting reputation. During storms, visitors frequently report hearing knocks on doors, footsteps along empty hallways, and the faint creaking of floorboards. These sounds often coincide with the worst of the weather, as if the spirits are responding to the stormy seas outside, performing the tasks they once carried out in life. Some guests have reported objects moving slightly on their own books, sliding from shelves, chairs shifting across the floor, and lamps flickering inexplicably. The combination of visual, auditory, and tactile phenomena creates an atmosphere that is both unsettling and strangely captivating, leaving no doubt in the minds of those present that Westquatty Headlight is a place where the past lingers in a tangible way. Visitors to the lighthouse often speak of sudden drops in temperature, even on otherwise mild days. These cold spots seem to move through the keeper's quarters and along the cliffside, often coinciding with other paranormal activity. Many theorists suggest that these temperature anomalies are manifestations of residual energy, echoes of the intense dedication and emotional experiences of the lighthouse keepers, who spent decades maintaining the lamp. The Atlantic's relentless presence, combined with the isolation and high stakes of lighthouse duty, may have left an enduring imprint, giving rise to the strange sensations reported by those who venture into the area. The cliffs surrounding Westquatty Headlight have seen countless ships pass safely under its watch, but also numerous disasters. Tales of sailors lost to the sea and families mourning their loved ones have contributed to the lighthouse's aura of melancholy and mystery. Locals speak of hearing distant voices or muffled cries carried on the wind, particularly during foggy mornings or violent storms. Some interpret these sounds as echoes of the past, reminders of lives intertwined with the lighthouse and the perils of the Atlantic. Others suggest that the spirits themselves are attempting to communicate, maintaining the vigilance they once upheld in life, even in daylight. The lighthouse exudes an uncanny energy. Visitors report subtle feelings of unease, a heightened awareness of their surroundings, and the sensation that unseen eyes are observing their every movement. Shadows sometimes appear where none should exist, and reflections in the windows of the keeper's quarters occasionally reveal shapes that vanish when directly looked at. Many who have spent extended time at West Quoddy Headlight describe a growing sense of connection with the site, a feeling that the spirits of the keepers and lost sailors are not simply lingering, but actively engaged in protecting the lighthouse and the waters surrounding it. Paranormal investigators who have explored West Quoddy Headlight corroborate many of these experiences. Using thermal cameras and electromagnetic field detectors, they have documented unexplained temperature drops, fleeting visual anomalies, and sudden shifts in readings that cannot be accounted for by natural causes. Audio recordings have captured faint knocks, footsteps, and murmurs that seem to emanate from empty rooms, reinforcing the accounts of visitors who have felt the presence of invisible watchers. These findings, combined with the lighthouse's long history of maritime tragedy and devoted keepers, have cemented its reputation as one of Maine's most haunted lighthouses. Despite or perhaps because of its spectral activity, West Quoddy Headlight remains a cherished landmark and a must-visit location for tourists, photographers, and maritime enthusiasts. The combination of dramatic ocean vistas, historical significance, and paranormal intrigue creates an atmosphere that is both beautiful and unsettling. Those who stand on the cliffs or explore the keeper's quarters often leave with a deep appreciation for the lighthouse's dual nature, a place of guidance and safety, and a site where the spirits of the past continue their eternal vigil. West Quoddy Headlight stands as a sentinel in more ways than one. Its lamp continues to guide modern vessels, while the ghostly figures, mysterious knocks, and chilling presence of the keepers who once lived there remind visitors that some duties transcend death. The lighthouse is a living testament to human dedication, maritime history, and the enduring mystery of the supernatural. For those who wander the cliffs or gaze out over the Atlantic, there is a subtle but undeniable sense that the spirits of West Quoddy Headlight remain vigilant, watching, guiding, and preserving the lighthouse's eternal duty amidst the tempestuous seas. Owl's Headlight, perched on the rocky shores of Owl's Head, Maine, is one of the state's most enduring maritime landmarks. Since its construction in the early 19th century, it has served as a critical guide for sailors navigating the treacherous waters of Penobscot Bay. Its white tower rises above the jagged coastline, a steadfast beacon warning mariners of the dangerous rocks below. Over the years, countless ships have relied on its light to find safe passage, yet despite its steadfast guidance, many vessels have met their fate against the unforgiving cliffs. These maritime tragedies have left their mark, and according to locals and visitors, Owl's Headlight is a place where the echoes of those lost at sea still linger. The lighthouse has long been associated with spectral sightings and unexplainable phenomena. Witnesses report seeing shadowy figures along the rocky shore, often described as sailors or former keepers wandering silently, as if continuing their duties from beyond the grave. These apparitions are typically fleeting, glimpsed only for a moment, before vanishing into the mist or fading with the light of day. Some visitors describe seeing figures moving purposefully, scanning the horizon or tending to areas near the lighthouse, a haunting reminder of the vigilance that once defined the lives of the keepers who called this place home. Many who visit Owl's Headlight speak of sudden cold spots that appear without warning, often in areas that should be warm or sheltered. These chills are sometimes accompanied by the feeling of being observed, a subtle yet unmistakable sensation that draws attention to the invisible presence nearby. Visitors walking along the cliffside or near the lighthouse's base frequently report these sensations, leaving them with a heightened awareness of their surroundings and an unsettling sense that they are not alone. Paranormal investigators have recorded similar phenomena, noting dramatic drops in temperature and electromagnetic fluctuations that cannot be explained by natural causes, further cementing the lighthouse's reputation as a haunted site. The lighthouse's history provides context for the lingering spirits said to inhabit it. Keepers once lived in the attached quarters, enduring long nights of isolation and harsh weather to maintain the light. Their work was physically and mentally demanding, requiring constant attention to ensure the lamp remained operational during storms, fog, and darkness. Many kept meticulous logs of their duties and the ships passing through the bay, reflecting a life deeply intertwined with the sea and the lives of those who sailed upon it. It is perhaps this dedication, combined with the tragedies of shipwrecks nearby, that has bound their spirits to the lighthouse, leaving echoes of their presence in the form of apparitions, whispers, and sudden chills. Visitors also report auditory phenomena, particularly the faint sound of footsteps on the rocks or within the lighthouse grounds. These noises are often described as soft but deliberate, as though someone or something is pacing the areas once walked by keepers and sailors. Some have claimed to hear distant calls or murmurs over the crashing waves, voices that seem to belong neither to the wind nor to any living person nearby. These sounds, paired with visual sightings and sudden cold drafts, create a compelling sense of otherworldliness that continues to draw curious onlookers and paranormal enthusiasts. Beyond the lighthouse tower, the rocky shoreline adds to the eerie atmosphere. The waves crash against the rocks below, sending mist into the air, and the wind often carries a haunting whistle as it passes through the cliffs. Witnesses walking the paths near the water's edge have reported seeing figures standing silently, gazing toward the horizon, only to disappear when approached. Some interpret these sightings as the spirits of lost sailors, forever tethered to the place where they met their fate. Others believe they may be the keepers themselves, continuing their vigilant watch over the waters, ensuring that the tragedies of the past are not repeated. Despite the haunting tales, Owl's Headlight remains a beloved landmark, drawing visitors for both its scenic beauty and its storied history. Photographers, tourists, and maritime enthusiasts flock to the site to admire the views and learn about the lighthouse, as critical role in guiding ships safely. Yet for those who linger, particularly during dawn, dusk, or foggy conditions, the lighthouse offers more than aesthetic charm. There is a palpable sense of the past, of lives dedicated to the sea, and of spirits that continue their eternal vigil. Owl's Headlight stands as a testament not only to maritime history, but also to the enduring presence of those who lived and perished along Maine's rugged coastline. The spectral figures, sudden chills, and the feeling of being watched serve as reminders that this lighthouse is a place where history and the supernatural converge. Visitors leave with the knowledge that Owl's Headlight is more than a beacon for sailors. It is a guardian of memory, a keeper of spirits, and a place where the echoes of the past continue to guide mariners from beyond. Two Lights, located on the rugged coast of Cape Elizabeth, Maine, is a lighthouse complex that has guided mariners for well over a century. Unlike many lighthouses that feature a single tower, Two Lights boasts a pair of towers standing sentinel over the rocky shoreline, a beacon of hope for sailors navigating the treacherous waters of the Maine coast. The site has long been admired for its striking views of the Atlantic Ocean and its historic architecture. Yet behind its picturesque facade lies a much darker history. Two Lights has earned a reputation for haunting, rooted in shipwrecks, maritime tragedies, and the lingering presence of those who dedicated their lives to keeping the lamps burning. The lighthouse complex was first established in the early 19th century, a time when shipwrecks were common along the jagged coast. Mariners relied heavily on these towers to avoid hidden rocks and dangerous currents, and the keepers of Two Lights bore immense responsibility. Their lives were marked by long hours, isolation, and a constant awareness that a single lapse could mean disaster for passing ships. Over the decades, tragedies did occur. Ships ran aground, lives were lost, and families mourned. Many locals believe that the sorrow and devotion of the keepers, combined with the suffering of lost sailors, have left an enduring imprint on the area. giving rise to the paranormal experiences reported by visitors and lighthouse enthusiasts alike. Witnesses describe a variety of unsettling phenomena at Two Lights. One of the most commonly reported is the sound of cries for help, echoing across the ledge on otherwise quiet nights. These sounds often appear suddenly, piercing the ambient noise of the waves and wind, as if the spirits of sailors who perished near the ledge are calling out to the living. Some visitors claim they can hear these voices coming from the direction of the water, blending eerily with the roar of the Atlantic. The sounds are often accompanied by a sense of urgency, leaving those who hear them with a lingering feeling of unease and empathy for the souls trapped between the realms of the living and the dead. Apparitions of lighthouse keepers are another frequent phenomenon. Visitors have reported seeing figures dressed in period attire moving about the towers or checking the lamps. Even when the site is abandoned, these spectral keepers appear to be performing their duties with the same meticulous care that characterized their lives, climbing stairs, inspecting lanterns, and patrolling the grounds. When approached, the figures often fade into thin air or vanish behind the walls of the towers, leaving only the sound of distant footsteps or the soft clink of lantern components. Witnesses describe these encounters as unsettling but not malevolent, suggesting that the spirits remain dedicated to their eternal mission of safeguarding mariners from the rocks below. The physical environment of Two Lights adds to the eerie atmosphere. The towers sit atop a rocky promontory, surrounded by waves that crash relentlessly against the cliffs. Fog is common along this section of the Maine coast, often reducing visibility to a few feet and amplifying the feeling of isolation. Visitors walking along the ledge or the pathways near the towers frequently report sudden chills and cold drafts that seem to appear without warning. These drops in temperature are sometimes felt near locations where apparitions have been sighted or where cries are heard, suggesting a connection between the physical sensations and the lingering presence of spirits. Paranormal investigators have noted that these cold spots often coincide with unusual electromagnetic readings, further reinforcing the belief that Two Lights is a site of supernatural activity. In addition to auditory and visual phenomena, subtle movements of objects have also been reported. Doors in the keeper's quarters may swing open or closed with no apparent cause, and small items occasionally shift from their original positions. These occurrences, while minor, contribute to the overall sense that Two Lights is not simply a historical landmark, but a living space imbued with the residual energy of those who once inhabited it. Many visitors interpret these subtle movements as signs that the spirits are still attentive, ensuring that the lighthouse functions as it always has, even in their absence. Local legends offer further insight into the haunting reputation of Two Lights. Residents recount tales of keepers who lived their lives in near constant vigilance, braving storms and isolation to maintain the lamps. Some stories speak of their spirits remaining bound to the towers, patrolling the grounds and watching over the ledge, ensuring that no further tragedies occur. These legends often highlight the sense of duty that defines the lighthouse, suggesting that the apparitions are not malevolent, but rather guardians of the coastline, continuing the work they were dedicated to in life. Despite its haunted reputation, Two Lights remains a popular destination for tourists, photographers, and maritime enthusiasts. Visitors are drawn to the stunning vistas, historic architecture, and the opportunity to explore a lighthouse that has played a vital role in Maine's maritime history. Yet, for those who linger, especially during foggy mornings, stormy evenings, or quiet nights, the supernatural elements of Two Lights are unmistakable. The cries, cold drafts, apparitions, and shifting objects all contribute to an atmosphere that is simultaneously awe-inspiring and unsettling, creating a unique experience that blends history, natural beauty, and the unexplained. Two Lights stands as more than a coastal landmark. It is a monument to vigilance, dedication, and the lingering presence of those who have passed. The spectral keepers, the echoes of lost sailors, and the inexplicable phenomena serve as reminders that some duties transcend death. Visitors leave with a heightened sense of respect for the lighthouse and its history, often feeling that the spirits continue their eternal mission, guiding mariners and protecting the rocky ledge from further disaster. In this way, Two Lights remains a place where the past is ever present, where the echoes of tragedy are preserved, and where the devoted guardians of the towers continue their watch, undeterred by time or mortality. Marshall Point Light, located on the rocky shores of Port Clyde, Maine, is a lighthouse that has captivated visitors for generations. Its iconic white tower and adjacent keeper's house have long served as a beacon for sailors navigating the often treacherous waters of Penobscot Bay. While Marshall Point is perhaps most widely recognized for its appearance in the film Forrest Gump, its significance extends far beyond pop culture. Locals and visitors alike have long reported strange and unsettling occurrences, giving the lighthouse a reputation as one of Maine's most haunted coastal landmarks. The site is said to be imbued with the presence of spirits keepers and sailors alike who continue to traverse the cliffside and lighthouse grounds, their lingering energy, a testament to the perils of the sea and the dedication of those who once tended the lamp. The lighthouse was first constructed in 1832, a time when maritime navigation along the Maine coast was fraught with danger. Ships frequently ran aground on the jagged rocks near Port Clyde, claiming lives and cargo alike. Keepers were entrusted with the critical responsibility of maintaining the light, ensuring that the beacon shone bright even through fog, storms, and darkness. These men, and occasionally women, often lived in isolation, with long stretches of solitude punctuated by the roar of the Atlantic and the whistle of the wind. The work was unrelenting, and the tragedies that unfolded nearby left deep impressions on both the living and the places they inhabited. Many believe that it is this combination of devotion, danger, and loss that has created the spectral presence that visitors continue to encounter. Numerous reports describe hearing voices carried on the fog-laden air, often when the lighthouse grounds are empty. These voices are typically indistinct, sometimes resembling distant conversations, cries for help, or commands issued in urgency. Witnesses often note that the sounds intensify during storms, when the wind and waves are at their fiercest. Some interpret these auditory phenomena as echoes of the past, the residual energy of keepers issuing warnings or sailors calling out in distress. Others believe that the voices are active spirits, striving to maintain their watch over the waters, guiding ships away from the treacherous rocks below. Visitors have also reported visual phenomena, most notably shadowy figures gliding across the cliffside or appearing near the lighthouse tower. Some of these apparitions are said to resemble former keepers, dressed in period attire, methodically performing the tasks they once carried out in life, inspecting the lantern, climbing stairs, or patrolling the grounds. Others are more ambiguous, described as dark, humanoid forms that move silently across the rocks and then vanish into the fog. These sightings often leave witnesses with a profound sense of awe, tinged with unease, as though they are glimpsing a world where the past and present coexist. The lighthouse itself seems to respond to this spectral presence in subtle ways. Doors in the keeper's house have been reported to open and close without explanation, and small objects occasionally shift from their places. Lights are known to flicker at odd moments, particularly in areas once occupied by keepers, reinforcing the idea that the spirits are attentive and active. Some visitors have described sudden chills that appear without warning, often in conjunction with other phenomena, such as the sound of footsteps or distant voices. Paranormal investigators visiting the site have documented unusual electromagnetic readings and temperature drops, lending credibility to accounts of supernatural activity. The cliffside surrounding Marshall Point Light contributes to the lighthouse's eerie and haunting atmosphere. The waves crash relentlessly against the jagged rocks, sending mist into the air, while gusts of wind carry faint, almost human-like sounds. Witnesses walking along the perimeter have occasionally seen figures standing silently at the edge, gazing toward the ocean before disappearing. Some theorists suggest these apparitions are the spirits of sailors who lost their lives nearby, forever bound to the place where they met their fate. Others argue they are the keepers themselves, continuing their vigil even after death, ensuring that no ship suffers the same tragic fate. Local folklore is rich with stories of dedication, tragedy, and lingering spirits. Longtime residents recount tales of keepers who lived their lives in ceaseless vigilance, braving storms and isolation to maintain the light. Many believe that the spirits of these keepers remain at Marshall Point, patrolling the cliffs and checking the lamps, their presence a perpetual testament to duty and perseverance. The cries, shadows, and flickering lights are often interpreted not as malevolent, but as guardianship, a spectral safeguard for mariners and visitors alike. Despite its haunted reputation, Marshall Point Light remains a beloved destination. Tourists, photographers, and lighthouse enthusiasts flock to the site to admire its rugged beauty and historic significance. Yet for those who linger after hours, or venture there during foggy mornings or stormy evenings, the supernatural elements of the lighthouse are unmistakable. The whispers on the wind, the shadows on the cliffs, and the mysterious movements within the keeper's house create an experience that is simultaneously beautiful, haunting, and humbling. Marshall Point Light stands as more than a navigational beacon. It is a place where history, tragedy, and the supernatural converge. The spirits of keepers and lost sailors seem to intermingle, ensuring the lighthouse fulfills its mission while simultaneously reminding visitors of the lives touched and claimed by the sea. The lighthouse continues to shine, both literally and metaphorically, as a testament to human devotion, maritime peril, and the enduring presence of spirits who remain vigilant, guiding ships and observers alike from beyond the mortal realm. Spring Point Ledge Light, located in South Portland, Maine, is a lighthouse that has guided mariners safely through the shifting waters of Casco Bay for well over a century. Its sturdy white tower and attached keeper's house rise above the rocky docks, a sentinel over a stretch of water that has claimed countless ships and lives throughout history. While the lighthouse is celebrated for its historical significance and maritime importance, it has also earned a reputation as one of Maine's more haunted locations. Locals, visitors, and paranormal enthusiasts alike have reported a range of eerie phenomena, from spectral apparitions to unexplained whispers, making Spring Point Ledge Light a fascinating convergence of history, mystery, and the supernatural. The lighthouse was first constructed in the early 1800s to address the dangers of Casco Bay's busy shipping lanes. Over time, it became a critical guide for sailors navigating the treacherous waters near Portland Harbor. Keepers who lived in the attached house were responsible for maintaining the light, ensuring that it shone brightly during fog, storms, and long winter nights. Their lives were marked by isolation and vigilance, and the dangers of the bay, ranging from sudden storms to hidden shoals, meant that the loss of a single night's focus could lead to tragedy. Many local legends suggest that the spirits of these devoted keepers, along with mariners who perished nearby, continue to linger at Spring Point. Their presence felt by those who venture close to the lighthouse. Sightings at Spring Point Ledge Light are both frequent and unsettling. Visitors have reported seeing ghostly figures walking along the docks or moving near the base of the light tower. These apparitions often appear dressed in period clothing, resembling the keepers or mariners of centuries past. Witnesses describe the figures as moving deliberately, sometimes pausing to glance toward the water, before disappearing into thin air or vanishing within the tower itself. These fleeting encounters leave a lasting impression, suggesting that the spirits remain tied to the lighthouse and the waters they once monitored, continuing their watch even in death. Auditory phenomena are equally common at Spring Point Ledge Light. Many visitors report hearing faint whispers that seem to come from nowhere, carried by the wind across the docks or from within the tower. These whispers are often unintelligible, yet they convey a sense of urgency or caution, as if the spirits are calling out to the living or warning of unseen dangers. Some witnesses have also heard the sound of footsteps on the wooden docks when no one else is present, adding to the lighthouse's reputation as a site of active paranormal energy. These auditory experiences are particularly pronounced during foggy evenings or storms, times when the lighthouse itself would have been most critical to the safety of passing vessels. Sudden cold drafts are another hallmark of the lighthouse's haunted atmosphere. Visitors often report feeling unexpected chills that seem to move with them, particularly near areas where apparitions have been observed or where whispered voices are heard. These drops in temperature, sometimes accompanied by a tingling sensation on the skin, reinforce the idea that the lighthouse is not just a historical landmark, but a site imbued with lingering energy. Paranormal investigators have recorded significant fluctuations in temperature and electromagnetic fields within the lighthouse, lending credibility to the numerous accounts of unexplained cold spots and reinforcing the impression that spirits remain present. The lighthouse's history is inseparable from its haunting reputation. Keepers lived in the house adjacent to the tower, often for extended periods of solitude, maintaining the lamp through storms and treacherous weather. Shipwrecks in the bay claimed the lives of sailors, and the emotional weight of these tragedies left an imprint on both the people and the place. Many believe that this combination of dedication, isolation, and maritime peril created an energy that continues to manifest in the form of apparitions, whispers, and cold drafts. It is as if the lighthouse itself remembers the lives intertwined with it, preserving echoes of the past for those sensitive enough to perceive them. Visitors who explore the lighthouse grounds today often speak of an uneasy awareness, a feeling that unseen eyes are watching them as they walk along the docks or approach the tower. Shadows sometimes appear where none should exist, and reflections in the windows of the keeper's quarters occasionally reveal shapes that vanish when directly observed. These experiences create an atmosphere that is both captivating and unsettling, drawing historians, ghost hunters, and curious travelers alike to explore the lighthouse for themselves. Despite its haunted reputation, Spring Point Ledge Light remains a cherished landmark. Its historical significance, scenic views, and maritime heritage make it a popular destination, while the tales of apparitions and unexplained phenomena add a layer of intrigue for those seeking more than just a picturesque coastal experience. Many visitors leave with a deep respect for the lighthouse, its keepers, and the spirits said to continue their watch over Casco Bay. The combination of natural beauty, history, and supernatural presence creates an environment that is at once enchanting and haunting, a place where the past seems to mingle with the present. Spring Point Ledge Light stands as a sentinel not only for sailors, but for the memories and spirits connected to it. And the sudden cold drafts all serve as reminders that the lighthouse is more than a structure of brick and stone. It is a living repository of history, duty, and the supernatural. Those who visit often leave with the sense that the lighthouse is alive in a unique way, watching over the waters, preserving the stories of the past, and maintaining an eternal vigil for both the living and the departed. The lighthouse continues to shine, guiding mariners and captivating visitors, while the unseen guardians who dwell within its walls and along the docks remain ever vigilant. Sagoon Island Light, perched on a rugged island off the coast of Phippsburg, Maine, is a lighthouse steeped in maritime history and, according to local lore, supernatural intrigue. Built in the early 19th century, this remote beacon has long guided ships safely through the foggy, rocky waters of the Gulf of Maine. Its isolated location, surrounded by jagged cliffs and the endless expanse of Atlantic waves, has not only made it an essential navigational point, but also the subject of numerous ghostly accounts. Visitors, historians, and paranormal enthusiasts alike have reported a range of eerie phenomena, from spectral sightings to unexplained sounds, giving Sagoon Island Light a reputation as one of Maine's most haunted lighthouses. The lighthouse was constructed in 1795 and has stood as a sentinel through centuries of maritime activity. Its keepers lived in isolation, often enduring long stretches of solitude while tending the lamp that warned sailors of the treacherous waters below. The work required constant vigilance, particularly during storms or dense fog, when the lighthouse's beam was a matter of life and death for passing vessels. Over the years, the demanding nature of this duty, coupled with the many shipwrecks in the surrounding waters, has contributed to the eerie aura that envelops the island. Many locals and visitors believe that the spirits of former keepers remain, patrolling the grounds, climbing the stairs, and maintaining the lighthouse's eternal watch over the sea. Sightings of apparitions are among the most commonly reported phenomena at Sagoon Island Light. Keepers and visitors alike have described seeing figures, dressed in period uniforms, moving about the tower or along the rocky cliffs. These apparitions often appear silently, observing the horizon or performing tasks reminiscent of their living counterparts, tending lanterns, walking the staircases, or scanning the waters for approaching vessels. Witnesses often report that the figures vanish when approached, leaving only the sound of the wind and the distant crashing of waves. These fleeting glimpses suggest that the spirits are not aimless, but are bound to the lighthouse by a sense of duty that transcends death. Auditory phenomena are equally chilling. Visitors have reported hearing the creaking of stairs when the lighthouse is empty, footsteps echoing along the wooden floors, and the distant murmur of voices carried by the wind. Some accounts describe faint commands or warnings, as if the keepers are still instructing or guiding unseen sailors. These sounds are often most pronounced during storms or foggy nights, when the isolation and danger of the waters are most palpable. Paranormal investigators have documented these noises, along with unusual electromagnetic readings and temperature fluctuations, further lending credence to reports of supernatural activity. The lighthouse's remoteness enhances its haunted reputation. Seguin Island is accessible only by boat, and its rocky terrain and surrounding waters make visits challenging. The isolation that made life as a keeper demanding also contributes to the sense of otherworldliness reported by visitors. Alone on the cliffs or near the tower, many have described an acute awareness of being watched, a sensation that grows more intense during quiet moments when the wind and waves dominate the soundscape. Some have felt sudden cold drafts or chills that move along the spine, particularly near areas where apparitions have been sighted or strange sounds have been heard. These experiences reinforce the impression that the lighthouse is a place where the boundary between the living and the dead is thin. Local folklore supports these accounts. Stories passed down through generations tell of keepers who dedicated their lives to maintaining the light, often in extreme weather conditions, and of sailors who perished despite the lighthouse's guidance. Many believe that the spirits of these keepers remain bound to the tower and the island, ensuring that ships navigate safely and that the sacrifices of the past are not forgotten. Some residents claim that the apparitions and unexplained sounds serve as a protective presence, watching over both the living and the waters below, a ghostly extension of the lighthouse's purpose. Visitors who explore Seguin Island Light today often leave with a mixture of awe and unease. The lighthouse's history, combined with the reports of spectral activity, creates an atmosphere that is simultaneously beautiful and haunting. Photographers and tourists are drawn to the site for its dramatic vistas and historical significance. Yet those who linger often feel the presence of something beyond the physical. Shadows along the cliffs, creaking stairs, and whispers carried on the wind all contribute to the island's reputation as a place where the past and present intersect, where spirits continue their vigil long after their earthly duties have ended. Despite the eerie reports, Seguin Island Light remains a cherished landmark. It is a testament to Maine's maritime history and the dedication of those who lived and worked to maintain the safety of passing vessels. The spectral phenomena, apparitions, footsteps, whispers, and sudden chills serve not only as sources of intrigue, but also as reminders of the enduring human connection to the sea. Many visitors interpret the hauntings as evidence of devotion, the spirits of keepers who remain ever watchful, ensuring that the light continues its mission from beyond the grave. Seguin Island Light stands as more than a navigational aid. It is a sentinel over history, a guardian of memory, and a site where the echoes of the past persist in tangible ways. The spirits said to inhabit the lighthouse and surrounding cliffs are believed to guide ships, warn of danger, and maintain a presence that honors the dedication of those who served here. For those who visit the lighthouse, offers a rare glimpse into a world where human duty, tragedy, and the supernatural converge, a place where the echoes of keepers and lost sailors continue their eternal watch, and where the light shines not only across the waters, but across the veil of time itself. Monhegan Island Light, perched atop a rugged cliff on Monhegan Island, Maine, has stood as a sentinel over the Atlantic Ocean for well over a century. Its white tower rises starkly against the horizon, a beacon guiding ships through the treacherous waters that surround the island. Though the lighthouse is celebrated for its panoramic views and historic significance, it has long been associated with eerie occurrences that suggest the presence of spirits lingering beyond the mortal realm. Visitors to Monhegan Island Light often speak of ghostly figures, unexplained sounds, and a sense of vigilance that transcends the physical structure, lending the lighthouse a reputation as one of Maine's most haunted maritime landmarks. Constructed in the early 19th century, Monhegan Island Light was built to warn sailors of the rocky coastline and dangerous currents surrounding the island. Mariners relied heavily on the light, particularly during storms, fog, and harsh winters when visibility was poor and navigation treacherous. Keepers were tasked with maintaining the lamp, climbing the tower daily, cleaning lenses, and ensuring the beacon shone brightly through every night. The work required unwavering attention and dedication, and those who served at Monhegan Island Light often spent long stretches in isolation, far removed from the mainland. The solitude, combined with the ever-present threat of maritime disaster, created an atmosphere that many believe still echoes through the lighthouse grounds. Accounts of ghostly sightings at Monhegan Island Light are frequent and unsettling. Visitors report seeing figures walking along the perimeter of the lighthouse grounds, moving silently over the rocky terrain as if performing the duties of keepers from decades past. These apparitions often appear dressed in period attire, their forms shifting in and out of sight, vanishing when approached. Some observers have claimed to see figures peering over the cliff's edge, scanning the waters below, only to fade into the fog that frequently envelops the island. These sightings suggest that the spirits remain vigilant, continuing to monitor the dangerous currents and rocky shoreline, fulfilling the duties they once performed in life. The auditory experiences reported at Monhegan Island Light are equally compelling. Visitors often hear the sound of footsteps echoing through empty hallways or across the stone pathways near the tower. These steps sometimes appear deliberate, paced, and measured, as though someone is inspecting the grounds or performing nightly routines. Other sounds include faint whispers that seem to carry on the wind, unintelligible murmurs that appear to come from the tower itself. Some witnesses interpret these whispers as warnings or guidance for the living, echoing the lighthouse's historical role in keeping sailors safe. The auditory phenomena are often most pronounced during foggy nights or stormy conditions, times when the lighthouse would have been crucial for navigation, further linking the haunting to the ongoing protective duty of the spirits. Cold drafts are another common feature, reported by those who explore the lighthouse. Visitors frequently feel sudden drops in temperature that seem to follow them from room to room or along the cliffs. Some have felt a lingering pressure, as if being watched by someone or something ever vigilant. Paranormal investigators have documented these temperature fluctuations and linked them to areas where apparitions and footsteps have been reported, reinforcing the impression that Monhegan Island Light is more than just an abandoned lighthouse. It is a living monument to the spirits who remain bound to its grounds. The rocky cliffs and surrounding waters add to the haunting atmosphere. Waves constantly crash against the rocks below, sending mist into the air and carrying sound in unpredictable ways. Fog frequently blankets the island, reducing visibility and amplifying the sense of isolation. Witnesses walking the cliffside at dusk or dawn have reported seeing shadowy figures standing silently at the edge, gazing out to sea before vanishing into the mist. Some believe these figures are the spirits of mariners lost near the island, forever tethered to the lighthouse where they might have found guidance too late in life. Others suggest they are former keepers, continuing their eternal watch over the dangerous waters they once helped safeguard. Local legends reinforce the lighthouse's haunted reputation. Stories passed down through generations describe keepers who lived in near-complete solitude, dedicating their lives to maintaining the light through storms, fog, and isolation. Sailors who perished despite the lighthouse's guidance are also remembered, and some locals believe that the lingering spirits are a mix of both keepers and mariners. The apparitions, footsteps, whispers, and sudden chills are seen not as threats but as manifestations of vigilance. a reminder that the lighthouse continues to serve its purpose from beyond the veil of death. Monhegan Island Light continues to attract tourists, photographers, and paranormal enthusiasts who are drawn to its beauty, history, and mysterious energy. Those who visit often speak of the lighthouse with a mixture of awe and respect, aware that the spirits who linger are guardians of both the past and the present. The panoramic views, historic architecture, and chilling atmosphere combine to create a unique experience where visitors feel the presence of something beyond the ordinary, a connection to the lives and duties that defined this remote outpost. Monhegan Island Light is more than a navigational aid. It is a testament to devotion, perseverance, and the enduring connection between the living and the dead. The ghostly figures, echoing footsteps, whispers, and sudden chills all point to a lingering presence, spirits who remain ever watchful, guiding sailors safely through the perilous currents and rocky waters. For those who venture to the lighthouse, the experience is a reminder that some duties transcend life itself, and that Monhegan Island Light continues its eternal vigil, blending history, natural beauty, and the supernatural into one unforgettable place. Cuckold's Light, located off the rocky coast of Boothbay Harbor, Maine, is a lighthouse that has long guided sailors through treacherous waters, its light cutting through fog, storms, and darkness. Erected in the early 19th century, the lighthouse stands on a small, rugged island, surrounded by waves that crash relentlessly against jagged rocks. Its remote location and the ever-present danger of the surrounding waters have given rise to tales of maritime tragedy and spectral phenomena, earning it a reputation as one of Maine's most haunted lighthouses. Over the years, visitors, historians, and paranormal enthusiasts have reported ghostly encounters, unexplained sensations, and other eerie occurrences that suggest the spirits of keepers and sailors continue to linger, maintaining a watch over the waters they once navigated. The lighthouse was constructed to serve as a beacon for ships entering Boothbay Harbor, warning them of submerged rocks and dangerous shoals. Keepers lived on the island for extended periods, often isolated for weeks at a time, tending the lamp and ensuring it remained lit through every storm and night. Their duties required constant vigilance, particularly during foggy or tempestuous conditions when ships were most at risk. Life as a keeper was not easy. Isolation, harsh weather, and the constant threat of maritime disaster marked their days and nights. Many believe that the dedication and sacrifices of these keepers left a lingering imprint on the lighthouse, one that continues to manifest in supernatural ways. Reports of ghostly sightings are frequent at Cuckold's Light. Visitors often describe seeing figures, dressed in period uniforms, walking near the lighthouse tower, or along the cliff's edge. These apparitions are sometimes glimpsed silently observing the ocean, as if scanning for approaching vessels or attending to the lamp. Witnesses frequently note that the figures vanish when approached, disappearing into the mist or fading against a dark rock face. Some interpret these sightings as the spirits of past keepers, eternally bound to their duties, ensuring that the light continues to serve its protective purpose even after death. Auditory phenomena also contribute to the lighthouse's haunted reputation. Many visitors report hearing the sound of footsteps echoing along the stone floors or across the jagged rocks surrounding the island. These footsteps often appear deliberate, measured, and purposeful, reminiscent of keepers performing nightly rounds. Others describe faint whispers or murmurs carried on the wind, unintelligible yet charged with a sense of urgency, as if issuing warnings or guidance to those navigating the waters. The sounds are particularly pronounced during storms, when the lighthouse's guiding role would have been most critical, reinforcing the sense that the spirits are active in their protective duties. Physical sensations are another hallmark of the lighthouse's eerie atmosphere. Visitors frequently report sudden cold drafts that seem to move through the building or along the cliffs, often in areas where apparitions have been sighted. Some have described the sensation of invisible hands brushing against their arms or shoulders, subtle yet unmistakable reminders of an unseen presence. These chills and touches are often accompanied by the feeling of being watched, a persistent awareness that someone or something is observing from just out of sight. Paranormal investigators have documented unusual temperature drops and electromagnetic fluctuations within the lighthouse, supporting the accounts of these unexplained physical phenomena. Cuckold's Light's isolation adds to the intensity of these experiences. Surrounded by the ocean and reachable only by boat, the lighthouse's remote location magnifies both the natural dangers and the sense of otherworldliness reported by visitors. The wind, waves, and mist create a sensory environment in which shadows seem to shift, sounds echo unpredictably, and the boundary between reality and the supernatural feels tenuous. Witnesses walking along the cliffs during dusk or stormy conditions have reported seeing shadowy figures standing silently at the edge, gazing toward the sea before disappearing into the fog. Some believe these are the spirits of sailors who lost their lives near the lighthouse, tethered to the site where they might have found guidance too late. Others claim they are the keepers, performing an eternal watch over the waters. Local folklore supports these haunting tales. Stories recount the dedication of keepers who braved storms and isolation to maintain the lamp, and of sailors lost despite the lighthouse's presence. Many believe that the spirits are a mix of both keepers and mariners, bound together by tragedy and duty. Apparitions, footsteps, whispers, and sudden chills are often seen not as malevolent forces, but as a vigilant presence, a reminder that Cuckold's Light continues its protective mission from beyond the veil of life. Despite its haunted reputation, Cuckold's Light remains a cherished landmark and destination. Tourists, photographers, and maritime enthusiasts are drawn to the lighthouse for its dramatic vistas, historic significance, and eerie energy. Those who linger often feel the lighthouse's presence in an almost tangible way, a reminder that it is not merely a structure of brick and stone, but a living monument to the dedication, sacrifice, and lingering spirits connected to its history. Cuckold's Light stands as more than a beacon for sailors. It is a sentinel over history and memory. The ghostly figures, echoing footsteps, whispers, and cold drafts all suggest that the lighthouse is inhabited by spirits who continue to fulfill their duties, guiding vessels safely through the perilous waters of Boothbay Harbor. For those who visit, the lighthouse is a place where history, human perseverance, and the supernatural converge, a place where the past remains ever present, and the light shines not only across the sea but across the veil between worlds. Cape Elizabeth Light, perched on the rugged coastline of Cape Elizabeth, Maine, is a lighthouse steeped in history, maritime significance, and eerie lore. Though separate from the nearby two lights, Cape Elizabeth Light shares the same foreboding stretch of coastline, where treacherous rocks and strong currents have claimed countless ships over the centuries. While the lighthouse has long served as a vital guide for mariners navigating these dangerous waters, it has also earned a reputation for supernatural activity. Visitors frequently report sightings of ghostly figures, inexplicable sounds, and sensations of being watched, all of which contribute to the lighthouse's enduring reputation as one of Maine's haunted maritime landmarks. Constructed in the early 19th century, Cape Elizabeth Light was designed to warn sailors of the jagged shoreline and perilous eel shoals that lurked near the entrance to Casco Bay. Keepers lived on site, often isolated for weeks or months at a time, tending the lamp through storms, fog, and dark winter nights. Their work was grueling and unforgiving, requiring constant attention to ensure that the light remained operational. Any lapse in vigilance could have fatal consequences for passing vessels. Over time, the dedication, isolation, and exposure to tragedy left an indelible mark on the lighthouse, and many believe that the spirits of past keepers remain, continuing their duties from beyond the veil of death. Ghostly sightings at Cape Elizabeth Light are a common experience for those who visit, especially in foggy or stormy conditions. Witnesses describe seeing shadowy figures moving along the cliffs or near the lamproom, often disappearing when approached. These apparitions are frequently dressed in period clothing, resembling the lighthouse keepers who once maintained the light. Observers note that the figures often appear to be inspecting the grounds, peering toward the ocean, or performing tasks as though the lighthouse were still fully operational. Such encounters suggest that the spirits remain vigilant, dedicated to safeguarding the shipping lanes as they did in life. Auditory phenomena further reinforce the lighthouse's haunted reputation. Visitors often hear faint murmurs or whispers near the lamp room, voices that seem to float on the wind or echo softly through the empty halls. Some describe the sounds as warnings or urgent instructions, as though the keepers are still communicating with mariners, or perhaps guiding the living through the same dangers that once threatened them. In addition to voices, the subtle creaking of floors, the opening and closing of doors, and the occasional clang of metal are reported, even when the building is empty. These sounds are particularly pronounced during storms, when the lighthouse's protective function would have been most crucial, lending the eerie phenomena a chilling sense of authenticity. Many visitors also report sudden drops in temperature, unexplained cold drafts, and an almost palpable presence that seems to follow them as they move through the lighthouse and its grounds. These sensations often occur near areas where apparitions have been sighted or sounds have been heard, suggesting a direct connection between physical phenomena and spiritual activity. Some describe the feeling of being observed, a sensation that intensifies when standing near the lamp room or walking along the cliff edges. Paranormal investigators have documented both temperature fluctuations and electromagnetic anomalies within the lighthouse, further corroborating the accounts of witnesses and adding to the location's haunted mystique. Cape Elizabeth Light's haunting is deeply intertwined with its maritime history. The lighthouse has witnessed countless shipwrecks, storms, and maritime tragedies over the centuries, many of which left sailors and passengers lost to the sea. Local legends suggest that the spirits of those who perished, along with the devoted keepers who tried to prevent such disasters, remain tethered to the lighthouse. Their continued presence is interpreted by many as a protective force, watching over the shipping lanes and ensuring that the perils of the rocky coast are not repeated. Some visitors even report seeing figures at the edge of the cliffs, silhouetted against the fog, as if scanning the waters for vessels in need of guidance. The isolation of Cape Elizabeth Light contributes significantly to the eerie atmosphere. The lighthouse sits alone on a rocky promontory, surrounded by the endless expanse of the Atlantic Ocean. Fog, wind, and the relentless crash of waves create an environment where sounds and shadows take on an unsettling quality. Visitors walking along the cliffs or near the lamp room often report a heightened awareness of unseen presences, as if the spirits of keepers and mariners are observing them closely. These sensations, combined with the natural elements, make the lighthouse a uniquely immersive site for experiencing both history and the paranormal. Despite the chilling accounts, Cape Elizabeth Light remains a cherished landmark, drawing photographers, tourists, and paranormal enthusiasts alike. Its panoramic views, historic significance, and tales of hauntings create a compelling experience that blends natural beauty with supernatural intrigue. Visitors often leave with a profound respect for the lighthouse, its keepers, and the spirits who are said to linger, preserving the legacy of maritime vigilance and devotion. Cape Elizabeth Light stands as more than a navigational aid. It is a monument to the dedication and sacrifice of keepers, a memorial to sailors lost at sea, and a site where the boundary between the living and the supernatural seems to blur. The shadows in the fog, whispers in the lamp room, and cold drafts that sweep through the building all suggest that the spirits continue their eternal watch. For those who visit the lighthouse, is a reminder that some guardians never truly leave, and that Cape Elizabeth Light continues to safeguard the treacherous coastline. Its spectral keepers, ever vigilant, guiding both ships and souls through the perilous waters of history and legend. Goose Rock's Light, a modest yet historically significant lighthouse off the coast of Kennebunkport, Maine, has long been a guiding beacon for sailors navigating the often treacherous waters of the Atlantic. Though small in stature, its presence has saved countless vessels from running aground on the jagged rocks and hidden shoals that line the coastline. Over time, however, Goose Rock's Light has become as well known for its paranormal activity as for its maritime service. Visitors, local historians, and paranormal enthusiasts alike have reported an array of eerie phenomena, from flickering lights and moving shadows to unexplained cries carried across the waves, earning the lighthouse a reputation as one of Maine's most haunted maritime landmarks. The lighthouse was constructed in the 19th century to warn sailors of the perilous rocks and currents near Bunkport. Keepers lived on or near the small island, often in complete isolation for days or weeks, tasked with maintaining the lamp and ensuring that it burned steadily through storms, fog, and long winter nights. Their work was grueling, demanding not only vigilance, but also resilience in the face of relentless weather and isolation. Despite these challenges, keepers dedicated themselves to the lighthouse's mission, often at great personal sacrifice. Many believe that this unwavering sense of duty left an indelible mark on Goose Rock's light, a presence that continues to linger in the form of spectral guardians who maintain the beacon's watch even beyond death. Paranormal encounters at Goose Rock's light are reported frequently, particularly during storms or foggy nights when the lighthouse's presence would have been most vital. Witnesses ascribe seeing lights within the lighthouse flicker or glow without explanation, as though the lamp itself is being tended by an unseen hand. Shadows are said to move along the cliffside or within the tower, sometimes resembling the form of a keeper performing routine inspections. These figures often vanish when approached, leaving visitors with a lingering sense of awe and unease. The apparitions are believed to be the spirits of keepers who once cared for the lighthouse, continuing their duties from the other side, ensuring that the light never falters. Auditory phenomena are also a significant aspect of Goose Rock's light's haunted reputation. Visitors frequently report hearing the faint echo of footsteps along empty hallways or across the rocky cliffs, footsteps that appear purposeful, deliberate, and eerily familiar to the routines of lighthouse keepers. Some have claimed to hear distant cries, muffled and haunting, as if carried over the waves from past tragedies at sea. Whispers are sometimes reported, faint and unintelligible, yet carrying a tone of urgency, as though the spirits are issuing warnings or guidance to those who dare approach the lighthouse. These sounds often intensify during storms, when the natural tumult of wind and waves mirrors the chaotic history of the waters below. Physical sensations accompany many of the reported sightings and sounds. Visitors have described sudden cold drafts that seem to follow them through the lighthouse or along the cliffside, inexplicable chills that descend even in the absence of wind. Some recount the unsettling feeling of being watched, as if unseen eyes track their every movement. A few have reported the sensation of invisible hands brushing their arms or shoulders, subtle but unmistakable signs of a presence that lingers with purpose. Paranormal investigators who have explored the lighthouse have documented unusual electromagnetic fluctuations and temperature drops, further supporting the accounts of visitors and suggesting that Goose Rock's light is more than just a physical structure. It is a nexus of lingering energy and unresolved history. The lighthouse's isolated location enhances its eerie atmosphere, surrounded by jagged rocks and the endless expanse of the Atlantic. Goose Rock's light sits far from the mainland, accessible only by boat. The waves crash continuously against the cliffs, carrying both sound and salt-laden mist, while fog often envelops the area, obscuring the horizon and creating a sense of otherworldly isolation. Visitors walking along the cliffs have reported seeing shadowy forms standing silently at the water's edge or on the rocky promontories, gazing toward the ocean before disappearing into the mist. Some believe these are the spirits of sailors lost at sea, forever bound to the lighthouse where they might have sought safety too late. Others suggest the figures of former keepers, remaining devoted to their eternal watch. Local lore and maritime history intertwine to reinforce Goose Rock's light's haunted reputation. Stories recount keepers who braved storms and solitude to maintain the beacon, as well as sailors who perished despite the lighthouse's warning. Many locals believe that the spirits are a combination of keepers and mariners, bound together by duty and tragedy. Apparitions, footsteps, flickering lights, and distant cries are often interpreted not as malevolent forces, but as vigilant guardians, a spectral reminder of the lighthouse's enduring purpose. Despite its eerie reputation, Goose Rock's light continues to attract visitors for its historical significance, stunning coastal vistas, and paranormal allure. Photographers, tourists, and enthusiasts of maritime history are drawn to its rugged beauty. Yet those who linger often sense the presence of something unseen, a quiet but undeniable reminder of the lighthouse's spectral guardians. Goose Rock's light stands as more than a navigational aid. It is a testament to the dedication of its keepers, the tragedies of the sea, and the spirits that persist in safeguarding both sailors and the memory of those who served. The flickering lights, shadowy figures, distant cries, and cold drafts all suggest a lighthouse alive with lingering energy. A place where duty transcends death, and where the past continues to watch over the perilous waters of Kennebunk. Visitors leave with an indelible impression, knowing that at Goose Rock's light, the spirits of keepers and sailors remain ever vigilant, guiding the living while preserving the echoes of history and the spectral essence of the sea. Matinicus Rock Light, perched on a solitary, jagged outcrop off the coast of Matinicus Island, Maine, is a lighthouse that has stood as a guardian over the Atlantic for well over a century. Its remote location, accessible only by boat, makes it one of the most isolated lighthouses along the Maine coastline. While its light has guided countless vessels through treacherous waters and rocky shoals, Matinicus Rocklight is also renowned for its eerie reputation. Over the years, visitors, historians, and paranormal enthusiasts have reported a range of supernatural phenomena, from ghostly figures wandering the rocks to unexplained sounds echoing through the lighthouse tower. These encounters have contributed to the lighthouse's enduring legend as a place where the spirits of keepers and lost sailors continue to fulfill their maritime duties, even beyond death. Constructed in the mid-19th century, Matinicus Rocklight was designed to warn ships of the dangerous rocks and strong currents surrounding Matinicus Island. Keepers lived on site for extended periods, often isolated for weeks at a time, tasked with maintaining the lamp through storms, fog, and long winter nights. Their responsibilities required constant vigilance, as even a momentary lapse could result in disaster for passing vessels. The solitude, combined with the physical and emotional demands of the work, left a profound impression on those who served as keepers. Many believe that this intense sense of duty and devotion has left an imprint on the lighthouse, manifesting in the form of lingering spirits that continue to watch over the waters today. Ghostly sightings are among the most commonly reported experiences at Matinicus Rocklight. Visitors have described seeing shadowy figures moving across the rocky terrain surrounding the lighthouse, often resembling the shape of a keeper performing routine inspections. Some witnesses claim to have seen figures inside the tower itself, standing near the lamp or pacing along the spiral staircase before vanishing into thin air. These apparitions often appear to be engaged in tasks reminiscent of their duties in life, as though the spirits are still tending the light to ensure the safety of mariners navigating the perilous waters below. Such encounters create an unsettling yet awe-inspiring atmosphere, reinforcing the notion that Matinicus Rocklight is more than a historical structure. It is a living monument to the devotion of those who once cared for it. Auditory phenomena further enhance the lighthouse's haunted reputation. Many visitors report hearing commands being called out, echoing across the rocks or through the empty halls of the tower. Some interpret these voices as instructions to mariners, warnings of danger, or directions to fellow keepers, suggesting that the spirits continue their work from beyond the grave. In addition to commands, the sounds of footsteps are frequently reported, sometimes pacing deliberately through hallways or along the cliffside, other times quick and erratic, as if in response to unseen emergencies. Faint murmurs, whispers, and occasional clangs of metal add to the eerie ambience, particularly during storms or foggy nights when the lighthouse's guiding purpose would have been most critical. Physical sensations accompany many of these encounters. Visitors often feel sudden cold drafts that seem to follow them from room to room or along the rocky shore. Some describe the sensation of invisible hands brushing against their shoulders or arms, subtle but unmistakable signs of a presence that is both aware and purposeful. The feeling of being watched is another common experience, particularly near the lamproom or the cliff's edge, creating a sense of tension and vigilance that mirrors the lighthouse's historical role. Paranormal investigators have documented unusual temperature fluctuations and electromagnetic anomalies within the tower, corroborating the reports of those who have experienced the unexplained firsthand. Matinicus Rocklight's isolation intensifies its haunted atmosphere, surrounded by the vast expanse of the Atlantic and accessible only by boat. The lighthouse sits in a place where sound, light, and weather are amplified by the environment. The relentless crash of waves against jagged rocks, the howling wind, and frequent fog create conditions where shadows shift, sounds echo unpredictably, and the boundary between the natural and supernatural feels tenuous. Visitors walking along the cliffside have reported seeing figures standing silently at the water's edge, gazing toward the horizon before vanishing into the mist. Some believe these are the spirits of sailors who perished near the rocks, tethered to the lighthouse where they might have sought guidance too late. Others insist the figures are former keepers, endlessly dedicated to their eternal watch. Local legends reinforce the lighthouse's spectral reputation. Stories recount the dedication of keepers who braved storms and solitude to maintain the light, along with the tragic losses of sailors despite the lighthouse's presence. Many believe the spirits are a mixture of keepers and mariners, bound together by tragedy and duty. Apparitions, footsteps, whispered commands, and sudden chills are often interpreted not as malevolent forces, but as vigilant guardians, continuing to fulfill the lighthouse's essential role from beyond the mortal plane. Despite its haunted reputation, Matinicus Rocklight continues to draw visitors for its historical importance. Breathtaking vistas and paranormal intrigue, photographers, tourists, and enthusiasts of maritime history are drawn to the lighthouse's rugged beauty. Yet those who linger often feel the presence of something unseen, a reminder of the lighthouse's continued vigilance. Matinicus Rocklight stands as more than a navigational aid. It is a monument to devotion, tragedy, and the enduring presence of spirits committed to their duties. The ghostly figures on the rocks, commands echoing through empty corridors, flickering lights, and sudden cold drafts all suggest that the lighthouse is inhabited by entities who continue to guide and protect. For those who venture to this remote outpost, Matinicus Rocklight offers an experience where history, maritime legacy, and the supernatural converge, leaving visitors with the indelible impression that the lighthouse's guardians are watching, vigilant, and eternal. Burnt Island Light, located off the coast of Port Clyde, Maine, stands as a solitary sentinel over the Atlantic Ocean. Built in the early 19th century, the lighthouse has long been a crucial beacon for mariners navigating the rocky shores and turbulent waters surrounding the area. Its remote location, perched on a small island accessible only by boat, exposed lighthouse keepers to isolation, harsh weather, and the constant responsibility of maintaining the light. Over the years, tales of spectral activity have emerged from this rugged outpost, with visitors and paranormal enthusiasts reporting ghostly apparitions, unexplained sounds, and chilling physical sensations. Many believe that the spirits of past keepers linger on the island, continuing their duties from beyond the mortal realm, watching over the waters as faithfully in death as they did in life. The history of Burnt Island Light is inseparable from the stories of the keepers who served there. These individuals often endured months of solitude, tending the lamp through storms, fog, and dark winter nights. Their work demanded vigilance, discipline, and resilience, as even a momentary lapse could result in disaster for passing ships. The hardships of isolation and exposure to maritime tragedies took a profound toll, creating an environment where spirits, some believe, never truly left. The lighthouse, its buildings, and the surrounding grounds became imbued with the presence of those who devoted their lives to guiding sailors safely through dangerous waters. Visitors to Burnt Island Light frequently report seeing ghostly figures wandering the island, often near the lighthouse tower or along the rugged shoreline. These apparitions are sometimes described as keepers dressed in period attire, moving deliberately as though performing routine duties. Some witnesses have reported seeing figures inspecting the lantern room, adjusting invisible equipment, or gazing out to sea, their forms fading into the mist when approached. Others describe shadowy shapes that flit across the island, appearing and disappearing with the ebb and flow of the waves, as if the spirits remain vigilant, continuing the work that defined their lives. Auditory phenomena at Burnt Island Light are equally compelling. Visitors often hear faint whispers, murmurs, or commands, echoing across the island or within the lighthouse itself. These sounds are sometimes interpreted as instructions or guidance for mariners, a spectral extension of the lighthouse's original purpose. Footsteps are commonly reported, measured and purposeful, tracing corridors or the rocky pathways outside, often coinciding with areas where apparitions have been seen. Some witnesses have reported hearing the creak of doors opening and closing, the occasional clang of metal, or other subtle noises that suggest the presence of an unseen caretaker. These sounds are often most pronounced during storms or foggy nights, reinforcing the connection between the paranormal activity and the lighthouse's protective role. Physical sensations are another hallmark of the Burnt Island Light experience. Many visitors report sudden drops in temperature, unexplained gusts of wind, or the sensation of being watched by an unseen presence. Some describe feeling invisible hands brushing their arms or shoulders, subtle yet unmistakable signs of an attentive spirit. Paranormal investigators have documented these temperature fluctuations and electromagnetic anomalies within the lighthouse, supporting the accounts of visitors who describe chilling encounters. The combination of visual, auditory, and physical phenomena creates an environment that is both haunting and deeply immersive, drawing people into the lingering presence of the past. The isolation of Burnt Island Light intensifies its haunted atmosphere. Surrounded by open water and accessible only by boat, the lighthouse sits on an island where the sounds of waves, wind, and fog shape the sensory experience. The relentless crash of the Atlantic against jagged rocks, the movement of mist, and the shifting shadows of early morning or twilight create conditions in which the supernatural seems almost plausible. Witnesses walking the island grounds during dawn, dusk, or storms often report shadowy figures standing silently at the cliff's edge, gazing toward the ocean before vanishing into the mist. Many interpret these figures as former keepers or even sailors who perished near the rocks, eternally tied to the lighthouse, where they might have sought guidance too late. Local folklore surrounding Burnt Island Light reinforces its spectral reputation. Stories recount the hardships of keepers who braved storms and isolation to maintain the beacon, as well as maritime tragedies that occurred despite the lighthouse's vigilance. Many believe that the spirits of these dedicated individuals never left, and that they continue to perform their duties in the afterlife. Apparitions, footsteps, whispers, and sudden cold gusts are often seen not as threats, but as a reminder of the lighthouse's enduring purpose and the devotion of those who served there. Despite its haunted reputation, Burnt Island Light continues to attract visitors who are drawn to its natural beauty, historical significance, and eerie charm. Those who linger often sense the presence of something unseen, a quiet vigilance that transcends the physical structure of the lighthouse. Burnt Island Light stands as more than a navigational aid. It is a monument to dedication, endurance, and the spirits who remain devoted to their watch. The ghostly figures wandering the rocks, the whispers and commands echoing through the lamproom, the flickering lights, and the sudden gusts of cold air all suggest that the lighthouse is alive with lingering energy. Visitors leave with the understanding that Burnt Island Light is a place where history, natural beauty, and the supernatural converge, and where the spirits of keepers continue their eternal duty, safeguarding sailors and preserving the legacy of this remote and storied lighthouse. Rockland Breakwater Light, stretching out into the waters of Rockland Harbor, Maine, is more than just a navigational aid. It is a silent witness to centuries of maritime history, hardship, and tragedy. Constructed in the late 19th century, this lighthouse sits at the end of a mile-long breakwater, its light guiding vessels safely into the harbor and away from the jagged rocks that have claimed countless ships over the years. While its practical purpose is undeniable, The lighthouse has earned a reputation for paranormal activity. Visitors and locals alike report fleeting shadow figures, unexplained footsteps, and a general sense of being watched, suggesting that the spirits of past keepers, sailors, and victims of maritime accidents continue to linger along the breakwater, protecting and observing from beyond the veil of the living. The breakwater itself was built to shield Rockland Harbor from the relentless Atlantic, but its construction and maintenance were perilous. Workers endured harsh weather, frigid temperatures, and dangerous tides, while laying massive stones to form the protective barrier. The lighthouse keepers, stationed at the far end of the breakwater, faced isolation and demanding responsibilities, ensuring that the beacon burned brightly, regardless of storms, fog, or dark winter nights. Many accounts suggest that the energy and experiences of these keepers, coupled with the maritime tragedies witnessed from the lighthouse, left an indelible mark on the Sighting imprint that some believe manifests as ghostly presence. Sightings at Rockland Breakwater Light are varied and persistent. Visitors often describe shadowy figures that appear at the edge of the lighthouse or along the breakwater's jagged stones, vanishing when approached. Some report seeing figures dressed in period clothing, reminiscent of lighthouse keepers performing their duties. These apparitions seem purposeful, sometimes pacing near the lamproom or peering toward the harbor, as though maintaining vigilance over the waters below. Witnesses describe the movements of these figures as deliberate, yet fleeting, giving the impression of spirits bound to an eternal routine, continuing their work from beyond life. Auditory phenomena at Rockland Breakwater Light contribute significantly to its haunted reputation. Many visitors report hearing footsteps echoing along the breakwater or inside the lighthouse tower, even when the area is empty. The steps are often measured and purposeful, as if someone is performing routine inspections or traversing the long path to check the lamp. Others describe the sound of muffled voices, sometimes resembling commands or instructions, floating across the water. These auditory experiences are especially pronounced during storms or foggy nights, reinforcing the connection between the paranormal activity and the lighthouse's protective role for mariners. Some witnesses even report hearing the creak of doors or the faint clang of metal, adding to the sense of an unseen presence actively engaged in its duties. Physical sensations often accompany these ghostly encounters. Visitors frequently feel sudden cold drafts that sweep across the breakwater, sometimes in areas where apparitions have been sighted. Others describe the unsettling sensation of being observed or the feeling of invisible hands brushing their shoulders or arms. Paranormal investigators have recorded temperature drops and electromagnetic anomalies within the lighthouse, lending credence to reports of these unexplained occurrences. Together, the visual, auditory, and physical phenomena create an atmosphere that is simultaneously eerie and awe-inspiring, allowing visitors to feel a tangible connection to the spirits that may still inhabit the lighthouse. The breakwater's isolation enhances the haunting experience. Stretching a mile into the Atlantic, the structure is constantly battered by waves, wind, and storms. The surrounding waters are unpredictable, and fog often blankets the lighthouse, creating conditions where shadows shift unnaturally and sounds echo in strange, disorienting ways. Visitors walking the length of the breakwater have reported glimpsing shadowy figures standing silently near the water's edge, gazing out toward the sea before vanishing into mist. Many interpret these figures as the spirits of sailors lost to the rocks or waves, forever tethered to the lighthouse where they might have sought guidance too late. Others insist the apparitions are former keepers, devoted to their eternal watch over the harbor and breakwater. Local lore and maritime history reinforce the lighthouse's spectral reputation. The breakwater has witnessed numerous shipwrecks, storms, and accidents, and the keeper's dedication to maintaining the light in the face of such peril is well documented. Stories suggest that the spirits of both keepers and mariners remain bound to Rockland Breakwater Light, a vigilant presence ensuring the waters remain navigable. Apparitions, footsteps, whispers, and sudden chills are often interpreted not as malevolent forces, but as protective guardians, continuing to fulfill the lighthouse's essential role even after death. Despite the eerie tales, Rockland Breakwater Light remains a popular destination for visitors. Tourists, photographers, and maritime enthusiasts are drawn to the lighthouse for its historic significance, dramatic views, and the thrill of its paranormal lore. Many who linger feel an unmistakable sense of presence, a quiet but intense vigilance that seems to emanate from the lighthouse itself. These experiences leave an indelible impression, blending the site's history, natural beauty, and supernatural intrigue. Rockland Breakwater Light stands as more than a functional beacon. It is a monument to human perseverance, maritime tragedy, and the spirits who continue their watch. The shadowy figures, echoing footsteps, whispers, and cold drafts all suggest that the lighthouse remains alive with lingering energy. Visitors leave with the understanding that the breakwater and its lighthouse are not merely relics of history, but a place where past and present coexist, where protective spirits guide ships, and where the legacy of those who served continues to shine through both light and legend. Whitehead Light, perched on a rugged island off the coast of St. George, Maine, has long served as a vital beacon for mariners navigating the treacherous waters of the Atlantic. Its location, exposed to relentless winds and crashing waves, has historically made the lighthouse both a lifeline for sailors and a challenging post for its keepers. Over the years, the lighthouse has gained a reputation not only for its maritime significance, but also for its paranormal activity. Visitors, historians, and paranormal investigators alike have reported sightings of ghostly keepers, unexplained noises, and other eerie phenomena, giving Whitehead Light a haunting presence that lingers long after the light has guided its last ship for the night. Constructed in the 19th century, Whitehead Light was strategically positioned to warn ships of dangerous shoals and rocky outcrops surrounding the island. Lighthouse keepers were tasked with maintaining the lamp through fog, storms, and long stretches of isolation. The demands of the job were extreme. The keepers faced the unrelenting Atlantic, endured solitary confinement, and bore the responsibility of safeguarding lives at sea. Many believe that the combination of isolation, hardship, and devotion to duty left a lasting imprint on the lighthouse, one that manifests as the presence of spectral keepers still patrolling the grounds and maintaining vigilance over the waters below. These apparitions are often described as appearing in period attire, resembling the keepers of the 19th and early 20th centuries. Some witnesses have observed figures standing at the edge of the cliff, gazing out toward the Atlantic before fading into the mist. Others recount seeing shadows moving within the tower, as if someone were attending to the lamp or checking the equipment. These sightings suggest that the spirits of keepers may still feel bound to their duties, continuing to protect the island's waters from unseen dangers. Auditory phenomena are also commonly reported. Visitors frequently hear footsteps echoing along the lighthouse floors or across the rocky terrain, even when no one else is present. Some describe the sound of doors opening and closing on their own, accompanied by faint whispers that seem urgent and purposeful. These disembodied voices are often interpreted as instructions or alerts, as though the spirits are still communicating to ensure that the lighthouse continues to serve its protective role. Other sounds, such as the creaking of stairs, the subtle clang of metal, or the soft rustle of movement, add to the sense that Whitehead Light is alive with unseen activity, particularly during foggy nights or storms, when the natural environment amplifies the eerie presence. Physical sensations frequently accompany these spectral encounters. Many visitors report sudden cold drafts sweeping through the lighthouse or across the island, often concentrated near areas where apparitions have been seen. Others speak of the unnerving feeling of being watched, a presence that seems to track their movements. A few have described the sensation of invisible hands brushing against their arms or shoulders, subtle yet unmistakable reminders of the spirits that linger. Paranormal investigators have documented temperature drops and electromagnetic anomalies within the lighthouse tower, supporting reports of these unexplained occurrences and reinforcing the idea that the lighthouse harbors a distinct, otherworldly energy. The isolation of Whitehead Light contributes significantly to its haunted atmosphere. The island is surrounded by open water, exposed to the full force of the Atlantic, and is accessible only by boat. Waves crash relentlessly against jagged rocks. Fog frequently obscures the horizon, and strong winds whip across the grounds, creating a setting where shadows and sounds can easily take on a supernatural quality. Visitors walking along the cliffs or near the lighthouse often report seeing shadowy figures standing silently, gazing out to sea, before vanishing into the mist. Many interpret these sightings as the spirits of keepers or sailors, eternally tied to the lighthouse where they once labored to protect lives and guide vessels through treacherous waters. Local lore intertwines the history of Whitehead Light with its spectral reputation. Stories recount the dedication of keepers who braved storms and solitude to ensure the lamp remained lit, and the tragic maritime accidents that occurred despite their efforts. Many believe that these keepers, and perhaps even sailors who perished near the island, remain bound to the lighthouse. Apparitions, ghostly footsteps, whispered commands, and doors opening on their own are seen not as malevolent forces, but as protective, lingering guardians who continue their vigil. Despite its reputation for hauntings, Whitehead Light remains a popular destination for visitors drawn to its historic significance. Stunning coastal views and paranormal intrigue. Photographers, tourists, and enthusiasts of maritime history are drawn to the island, many leaving with stories of spectral sightings, eerie sounds, and sensations that defy explanation. Those who linger often feel an undeniable presence, a sense of vigilance that transcends the physical structure of the lighthouse and the passage of time. Whitehead Light stands as more than a navigational beacon. It is a monument to the endurance, dedication, and sacrifice of its keepers, and a site where the boundary between the living and the supernatural feels thin. The ghostly figures walking the grounds, the whispered commands, the creaking doors, and sudden chills all suggest that the spirits of the past continue their eternal watch. For those who visit, Whitehead Light is not merely a lighthouse, it is a place where history, devotion, and the spectral guardianship of the sea converge, leaving a haunting and unforgettable impression on all who tread its rocky shores. Popham Beach Light, perched on the sands of Phippsburg, Maine, is a lighthouse steeped in history and maritime significance. Since its construction in the 19th century, the lighthouse has served as a guiding beacon for vessels navigating the treacherous coastline, warning sailors of hidden shoals and rocky outcrops along the Kennebec River and the Atlantic. Over the years, it has become a site not only of historical interest, but also of eerie encounters, with visitors and paranormal enthusiasts reporting ghostly apparitions, unexplained sounds, and sudden drops in temperature. These experiences have contributed to Popham Beach Light's reputation as a haunted landmark, where the spirits of past keepers and sailors appear to continue their watch over the waters they once safeguarded. The lighthouse was manned by keepers who often lived on or near the premises, tasked with the meticulous maintenance of the lamp. Their duties required constant attention, ensuring the light burned steadily, cleaning and repairing the lens, and maintaining the surrounding buildings, all while facing isolation, harsh weather, and the relentless Atlantic winds. The keeper's dedication, coupled with the tragedies that unfolded along the coast, is believed to have left an indelible mark on Popham Beach Light, manifesting in the lingering presence of spirits who continue to patrol the lighthouse and its surrounding areas. Sightings at Popham Beach Light are reported frequently, particularly near the lamproom and along the sandy shores. Visitors have described seeing translucent figures moving deliberately, as if performing the tasks of lighthouse keepers from long ago. Some apparitions are seen adjusting invisible equipment, pacing near the lantern room, or gazing out to the waters, their forms fading when approached. On the beach itself, shadowy figures are often spotted walking along the sand, sometimes disappearing into the mist rising from the river or the ocean beyond. These manifestations are commonly interpreted as the spirits of keepers or sailors who continue to protect the area, their presence a spectral continuation of their lifelong duties. Auditory phenomena at Popham Beach Light enhance its haunted atmosphere. Many visitors report hearing whispers, faint voices, or murmurs that seem to come from the lamproom or across the sands. Some describe these sounds as commands or guidance, echoing the routines of past keepers as they ensured the lighthouse remained operational. Footsteps are also frequently reported, often echoing across the wooden floors of the lighthouse or the surrounding walkways, even when no one else is present. During storms or foggy conditions, these sounds can become amplified, blending with the natural noise of crashing waves and wind to create an almost surreal auditory experience. In addition, doors are sometimes reported opening and closing on their own, accompanied by subtle creaks and shifts that suggest a presence moving through the lighthouse. Physical sensations are another element of the haunting at Popham Beach Light. Visitors often experience sudden drops in temperature near the lamp room or along the beach, chills that seem to descend without warning or source. Some report feeling unseen hands brushing their arms or shoulders, or the unsettling sensation of being watched, as if a spectral observer follows their every movement. Paranormal investigators have documented temperature fluctuations and electromagnetic anomalies within the lighthouse, supporting the accounts of those who have experienced the unexplained firsthand. The combination of visual, auditory, and physical phenomena creates a hauntingly immersive experience, allowing visitors to feel the lingering presence of the past as they explore the lighthouse grounds. The location of Popham Beach Light contributes significantly to its spectral reputation. The lighthouse sits on a stretch of coastline that is both beautiful and treacherous, with the Atlantic's waves pounding the shore and fog frequently obscuring the horizon. The sandy beach and rocky outcrops provide a dramatic setting where shadows and sounds can easily take on an otherworldly quality. Witnesses walking along the sands have reported seeing figures standing silently at the water's edge, gazing toward the ocean before disappearing into the mist. These apparitions are often interpreted as the spirits of sailors who perished near the coast, tethered to the lighthouse, where they might have sought guidance too late, or as keepers continuing their eternal watch. Local folklore reinforces Popham Beach Light's haunted reputation. Stories recount the dedication of keepers who braved storms and isolation to maintain the beacon, as well as the tragedies of ships lost despite their vigilance. Many believe that these spirits are protective rather than malevolent, continuing to guide and watch over the waters they once safeguarded. Apparitions, footsteps, whispers, and sudden cold drafts are seen as evidence of a continuing presence, a spectral reminder of the lighthouse's ongoing purpose. Despite its eerie reputation, Popham Beach Light remains a popular destination for visitors. Photographers, tourists, and history enthusiasts are drawn to the lighthouse for its historical significance, coastal beauty, and paranormal intrigue. Many leave with stories of ghostly figures, strange sounds, and inexplicable chills, experiences that leave an indelible impression. For those who linger, the lighthouse offers a unique blend of history and the supernatural, where the past and present seem to coexist. Popham Beach Light stands as more than a navigational aid. It is a monument to the dedication, perseverance, and sacrifice of its keepers, and a place where the spirits of the past appear to continue their watch. The apparitions near the lamp room, the whispers carried over the sands, the flickering lights, and sudden drops in temperature all suggest that the lighthouse is alive with lingering energy. Visitors leave with a sense that Popham Beach Light is not merely a historical structure, but a place where the spirits of keepers and sailors continue to guard the coastline, maintaining a vigilant, unseen watch over the waters they once served. Marshall Point Light, perched on the rocky coastline of Port Clyde, Maine, is widely known for its iconic lighthouse and its role in guiding mariners safely through the treacherous Atlantic waters. Yet beyond the lantern room and the shining beam, the keepers' quarters attached to the lighthouse hold a haunting presence that has long captured the imagination of visitors and paranormal enthusiasts alike. These quarters, once home to the men and families who tended the light, are said to be imbued with the lingering energy of those who devoted their lives to safeguarding ships from the perilous coastline. Over the years, numerous accounts of apparitions, cold drafts, and unexplained noises have given the keepers' quarters a reputation as one of the most haunted parts of the lighthouse property. The history of the keeper's quarters is inseparable from the story of the lighthouse itself. Constructed in the 19th century, Marshall Point Light relied on dedicated keepers to maintain its lamp, particularly during storms, fog, and the long, dark winter nights that battered the Maine coast. Keepers were required to live in the quarters for extended periods, isolated from the mainland and exposed to the relentless Atlantic winds. They performed grueling routines of cleaning the lens, maintaining the light, and patrolling the surrounding grounds to ensure the safety of passing vessels. The solitude, coupled with the weight of responsibility, left a profound mark on those who lived there, and as many believe, on the quarters themselves, leaving behind an energy that continues to manifest as paranormal activity. Visitors to the keeper's quarters frequently report ghostly sightings. Figures are often seen peering from windows, their features indistinct, watching the shoreline as though ensuring that the light is still functioning. Others are described wandering the grounds, moving along the paths or pacing near the edges of the property, appearing and disappearing with an almost ethereal fluidity. Some witnesses claim to see apparitions dressed in period clothing, suggestive of the keepers who once lived there, performing the tasks they had carried out in life. Whether adjusting the blinds, walking the perimeter, or seemingly checking on the lighthouse itself, these spectral figures give the impression of a presence that continues its vigilant duties long after death. Auditory phenomena enhance the haunting experience. Many visitors report hearing footsteps echoing through the halls or across the floors of the quarters, even when the building is empty. Faint whispers are often heard, sometimes resembling instructions or commands, echoing the routines of the keepers who once maintained the lighthouse. Doors are occasionally reported opening and closing without explanation, accompanied by subtle creaks or metallic sounds that suggest movement from unseen hands. These noises are especially pronounced during windy or foggy nights, when the atmosphere of the quarters blends seamlessly with the natural sounds of the Atlantic, creating a setting where the boundary between the natural and supernatural feels thin and uncertain. Physical sensations are a common feature of encounters within the keeper's quarters. Sudden cold drafts sweep through rooms where no windows are open, chilling visitors unexpectedly. Some report the sensation of being watched, a lingering presence that seems to follow them from room to room. Others have felt the brush of invisible hands on their arms or shoulders, subtle yet unmistakable signs that the spirits of past keepers remain aware and attentive. Paranormal investigators have documented unusual temperature fluctuations and electromagnetic anomalies within the quarters, corroborating many of the first-hand accounts and reinforcing the idea that the keeper's presence continues to linger. Attentive to their long-standing responsibility, the isolation of Marshall Point Light and its quarters adds to the haunting ambience. Surrounded by the ocean, exposed to storms and crashing waves, and accessible only by a narrow walkway, the quarters are set in a location that naturally amplifies sounds and shadows. Witnesses walking near the building or along the coastline frequently report seeing shadowy figures, standing silently near windows or at the edge of the grounds, often gazing toward the lighthouse or the sea before vanishing. These apparitions are interpreted as the spirits of keepers ensuring the light's function, or sailors who perished near the rocks, tethered to the site by duty or tragedy. The combination of isolation, natural elements, and historical weight contributes to the quarter's enduring spectral presence. Local lore surrounding Marshall Point Light emphasizes the devotion and hardship of the keepers. Stories recount the long hours, isolation, and danger faced by those who maintained the light, often in treacherous weather. The tragedies of ships lost despite their vigilance only deepen the sense of lingering presence. Many believe that these spirits are not malevolent, but remain protective, continuing their watch to ensure the safety of those who traverse the waters. A spectral extension of their earthly duties. Apparitions, footsteps, whispers, and cold drafts are all interpreted as manifestations of these unseen guardians, preserving the lighthouse's mission beyond the mortal plane. Despite its haunted reputation, the keeper's quarters continue to attract visitors. Photographers, historians, and paranormal enthusiasts alike are drawn to the site for its historical significance, scenic views, and supernatural allure. Many report leaving with vivid experiences of spectral activity, from fleeting figures in windows to unexplained noises that linger long after departing the property. The combination of history, natural beauty, and paranormal intrigue creates a compelling environment where visitors can feel a connection to the past, as well as to the enduring presence of those who once called the quarters home. Marshall Point, Lightkeeper's Quarters, stand as more than just a residential structure for lighthouse staff. They are a monument to dedication, vigilance, and the enduring power of duty. The apparitions wandering the grounds, the whispers echoing through empty rooms, the creaking doors, and sudden cold drafts all suggest that the spirits of past keepers continue their watch. Visitors leave with the understanding that these quarters are not merely historical buildings, but a place where the past and present coexist, where spectral guardians tend the light, and where the devotion of those who served endures beyond death, ensuring the lighthouse continues to shine as a beacon for both the living and the spirits who protect it. Saddleback Ledge Light, situated in the turbulent waters of Frenchman Bay, Maine, stands as a solitary guardian against the treacherous rocks that have claimed countless vessels over the centuries. Built in the 19th century, this lighthouse was erected to warn mariners of the dangerous shoals and ledges that lurk beneath the waves, offering a guiding light in fog, storms, and the dark of night. Its remote location, perched on jagged rocks far from the shore, exposed the keepers to isolation, harsh weather, and relentless responsibility. Over time, these conditions, combined with the tragedies witnessed from its rocky perch, have given rise to stories of spectral activity, with apparitions of keepers and sailors, unexplained noises, and other phenomena reported by visitors, sailors, and paranormal enthusiasts alike. The lighthouse was manned by dedicated keepers whose lives revolved entirely around maintaining the light. They faced weeks or even months of solitude, tending the lamp, inspecting the tower, and monitoring the surrounding waters for hazards. The harsh weather and isolation took a toll on both body and mind, yet keepers persisted, driven by duty and the knowledge that their vigilance could mean the difference between life and death for passing vessels. Many believe that the intense dedication and the experiences of these keepers left a lasting imprint on the lighthouse and surrounding rocks, manifesting as the lingering presence of spirits who continue to watch over the bay, even after death. Visitors to Saddleback Ledge Light frequently report sightings of ghostly figures. Apparitions are often seen near the lantern room, pacing along the walkways, or standing at the edge of the rocky ledges, gazing out to sea. These figures are sometimes described as keepers in period attire, carrying out routines as though the light still depended on their labor. Other sightings include sailors in old-fashioned clothing, appearing briefly on the rocks or along the coastline, only to vanish into mist or shadow. Witnesses often describe the movements of these spirits as deliberate, purposeful, and eerily calm, as if the task of guarding the dangerous waters has bound them to the lighthouse beyond death. Auditory phenomena are common at Saddleback Ledge Light. Many visitors report hearing footsteps echoing across the rocks or along the lighthouse floors, even when the area is deserted. Doors opening and closing on their own, faint whispers, and distant murmurs are frequently documented, adding to the sense of a vigilant presence. Some accounts describe sounds resembling commands or instructions, as if the keepers are continuing their work, ensuring that the light remains functional and ships are warned of the perilous rocks below. These noises are often most pronounced during storms or foggy nights, when the natural ambiance of crashing waves, gusting winds, and shifting mist amplifies the sense of the supernatural. Physical sensations also accompany these experiences. Sudden cold drafts sweep across the rocky ledges or within the tower itself, chilling visitors without warning. Many report the unnerving feeling of being observed, a presence that seems to follow them from room to room or along the rocky coastline. Others describe the sensation of invisible hands brushing their shoulders, subtle yet unmistakable reminders that the spirits of past keepers and sailors remain attentive. Paranormal investigators have recorded temperature anomalies and electromagnetic disturbances within the lighthouse and surrounding grounds, supporting these first-hand accounts of unexplained activity. The isolation of Saddleback Ledge Light contributes heavily to its haunted atmosphere. Perched far from shore and surrounded by churning waters, the lighthouse is constantly exposed to storms, fog, and relentless winds. The jagged rocks and narrow walkways create a natural setting where shadows and sounds can take on a spectral quality, especially during nightfall or heavy weather. Visitors walking along the ledges or near the lighthouse often report seeing shadowy figures standing silently at the water's edge, gazing toward the horizon before disappearing into mist or darkness. Many interpret these apparitions as keepers continuing their eternal watch, or as sailors who perished near the treacherous ledge, bound to the area by fate or tragedy. Local history and folklore reinforce the lighthouse's spectral reputation. Tales of shipwrecks, lost sailors, and the tireless dedication of the keepers have been passed down through generations. Many believe that the spirits of these keepers, and perhaps the sailors who died trying to navigate the bay, remain bound to Saddleback Ledge Light. Apparitions, footsteps, whispers, and sudden cold drafts are often regarded as protective phenomena, continuing the lighthouse's original mission of safeguarding mariners from the rocks and shoals. Despite its eerie reputation, Saddleback Ledge Light continues to attract visitors, including photographers, maritime enthusiasts, and those curious about its paranormal lore. Many leave with stories of ghostly figures, mysterious sounds, and unexplained chills, creating a sense of connection with the lighthouse's past. Those who linger often feel an undeniable vigilance, a presence that transcends the physical structure of the lighthouse, suggesting that the spirits remain devoted to their duties even in the afterlife. Saddleback Ledge Light stands as more than a guiding beacon for ships. It is a monument to the perseverance, duty, and dedication of those who served there. The ghostly keepers and sailors, the footsteps and whispers echoing across the rocks, and the sudden cold drafts all suggest that the lighthouse is alive with lingering energy. Visitors leave with the understanding that Saddleback Ledge Light is not simply a historical landmark, but a place where the spirits of the past continue to watch over the waters, protecting sailors and preserving the legacy of vigilance and care that has defined this remote and enduring lighthouse for generations. The keeper's house at Owl's Headlight, a humble residence perched above the craggy shoreline of Maine's Penobscot Bay, has long held a reputation for being just as haunted as the lighthouse itself. While the tower's beam has guided ships through countless storms, the adjoining home, once filled with the daily lives of lighthouse keepers and their families, now carries the echoes of a different kind of watch. Visitors, staff, and even passing locals tell of shadows drifting behind its windows, footsteps ringing through empty rooms, and the unmistakable sensation of an unseen presence moving along the staircases. These reports have led many to believe that the spirits of past keepers, bound by duty and devotion, continue to linger within the walls of the keeper's house, ensuring that the light is never truly unattended. The house, built to provide shelter for the keepers and their families, was more than just a dwelling. It was a place where generations of men and women carried out the demanding life of lighthouse work. Keepers rose before dawn, braved bitter winds to trim the lamp, and stood guard through long, stormy nights. The families endured isolation and the ever-present threat of tragedy on the surrounding waters. Over the decades, the house absorbed their routines, their hardships, and their quiet dedication. Perhaps it is this emotional weight that has etched itself into the structure, giving rise to the ghostly phenomena reported so often today. One of the most frequent experiences described by visitors is the sight of moving shadows within the windows of the keeper's house, long after the residence has been locked and secured. On moonlit nights, shapes are seen drifting past curtains or pausing at the glass as though watching over the grounds. These silhouettes are often described as tall figures, dressed in what appears to be outdated attire, coats, caps, or dresses that align with the 19th and early 20th centuries, when the lighthouse was most active. Witnesses who attempt to approach the house usually find nothing inside, only the stillness of abandoned rooms and the faint smell of salt carried on the wind. Inside the keeper's house, the most common report is the sound of footsteps. They echo across wooden floors, ascend and descend the staircases, and sometimes circle through empty bedrooms. Guests who have stayed overnight in the house during restoration projects describe lying awake at night while measured steps creaked along the hallway outside their rooms, only for the sounds to fade into silence when investigated. Paranormal investigators have placed audio recorders and motion sensors in the house, capturing unexplained noises, faint thuds, and at times the suggestion of whispered voices. Some recordings, when amplified, reveal phrases that sound like commands or murmured prayers, clues, perhaps, that the keeper's spirits are still at work. The staircase is another focal point of activity. Many visitors describe feeling a sudden drop in temperature while climbing the stairs, accompanied by the unnerving sensation of being brushed by unseen hands or shadowed by an invisible presence. In some accounts, individuals felt pressure on their shoulders, as though guided or perhaps warned by a spirit lingering nearby. Such encounters have convinced many that the staircases, once heavily traveled by keepers and their families, remain a thoroughfare for those who never truly left the house. While much of the paranormal lore surrounding the keeper's house points to watchful presences, not all of the activity is subtle. Some visitors have reported doors opening or closing on their own, latches sliding shut without explanation, and objects moving from one surface to another overnight. On rare occasions, flickering lights have been seen in the windows, resembling lantern glow, even though the house has long been without active residents. These occurrences, particularly when they align with stormy nights or heavy fog, suggest that the house remains alive with residual energy, replaying moments from its history in ways that cross the boundary between past and present. The legends surrounding the house often tie its hauntings to specific figures. Some believe one of the lingering presences is that of a devoted keeper who refused to abandon his post, even after death. Others suggest the spirits may include family members, wives, and children who lived within its walls, enduring the isolation and hardships alongside the keepers. Maritime folklore even tells of sailors whose lives were claimed by the treacherous waters off Owl's Head, their restless souls seeking shelter near the light and its adjoining house. These interpretations vary, but all underscore the idea that the house is more than empty architecture. It is a vessel for memory and spirit, its walls infused with the lives that once filled them. Those who have braved a night in the keeper's house often describe the experience as simultaneously unsettling and strangely comforting, while the footsteps, whispers, and shifting shadows create an eerie atmosphere. There is also a sense of vigilance in the activity, as though the spirits are not malicious, but protective. Visitors frequently report feeling watched, yet not with hostility. Instead, the presence seems intent on ensuring that the lighthouse and its legacy remain respected. Many leave with the impression that the spirits are guardians, keeping alive the traditions of the keepers who once ensured that no ship went unguided through the perilous waters of Penobscot Bay. Today, the keeper's house stands as both a historical landmark and a supernatural curiosity. It attracts maritime historians, paranormal investigators, and curious travelers alike, all hoping to catch a glimpse or sound of the activity reported there. While skeptics dismiss the accounts as drafts, settling wood, or tricks of light, those who have experienced the phenomena firsthand often leave convinced that something beyond explanation lingers within the house. In the end, the keeper's residence at Owl's Head is more than a simple home. It is a place where history and the supernatural intersect, where the devotion of past keepers and the tragedies of the sea have imprinted themselves upon its walls. The moving shadows, echoing footsteps, and invisible presences remind all who visit that the lighthouse's mission was never carried out by the tower alone. The house itself played an equally vital role, sheltering those who maintained the light, and perhaps still does so in ways that defy understanding. Whether as a monument to human dedication or as a vessel for restless spirits, the keeper's house continues its watch, its spectral residence ensuring that the duties of Owl's Headlight are never forgotten. Sagoon Island Light, perched on a rugged island off the coast of Phippsburg, Maine, has long held a reputation for both its beauty and its mystery. Built in 1795 and later reconstructed, it is one of the oldest and most storied lighthouses in the state. Its towering presence was essential to guiding ships through the treacherous waters near the mouth of the Kennebec River, where fog, sharp rocks, and powerful tides have claimed many vessels. Yet beyond the lighthouse itself, the keeper's quarters standing watch beside the beacon carry an equally powerful legacy. Over the centuries, stories of unexplainable sounds, fleeting apparitions, and the sense of an unseen presence have emerged, transforming the modest residence into a focal point of haunting lore. The keeper's quarters were designed to house those who maintained the light, offering shelter from the constant wind and isolation of island life. These walls bore witness to the daily routines of generations of keepers, trimming wicks, carrying fuel, recording weather, and scanning the horizon for ships in distress. Theirs was an existence of solitude and vigilance, punctuated by storms and tragedies that often reminded them of the ocean's unforgiving nature. It is perhaps no surprise that such dedication, sacrifice, and emotional weight left behind traces manifesting as spectral echoes that seem unwilling to depart. Visitors to Sagoon Island often describe a palpable atmosphere that overtakes them upon stepping ashore. Many report feeling watched, as though unseen eyes observe their every move. The sensation is particularly strong within the keeper's quarters, where doorways, windows, and staircases feel heavy with presence. Even those with no belief in the paranormal admit to a lingering unease that cannot be explained by isolation alone. One of the most common experiences involves figures in old uniforms wandering the grounds. Witnesses describe seeing men dressed in 19th century keeper attire, complete with caps and heavy coats, striding purposefully across the island. These apparitions often vanish as suddenly as they appear, fading into mist or disappearing around corners where no one can be found. Some claim these figures continue their eternal patrol, inspecting the lighthouse and its surroundings as they once did in life. To those who experience such sightings, the message seems clear. The spirits of past keepers remain steadfast in their duties, ensuring the island never lies unattended. Inside the keeper's quarters, strange occurrences have been documented with remarkable consistency. Doors open and close of their own accord, often with enough force to echo down the hallways. Windows that were securely latched are sometimes found ajar, as though unseen hands insist on reminding the living of their presence. At night, footsteps reverberate across the wooden floors, steady and deliberate, as though a keeper is making his rounds. Those who sleep in the quarters frequently awaken to the sound of movement in adjoining rooms, only to discover no one is there. Cold drafts are another signature of the house's haunted reputation. They sweep suddenly through warm rooms, chilling visitors to the bone. These bursts of icy air are often accompanied by the faint smell of oil or smoke, reminiscent of the lamps once tended by keepers who carried the responsibility of keeping the beacon alive. Paranormal investigators have noted sharp drops in temperature during their stays, often coinciding with moments when voices or knocks are captured on recording devices. Perhaps the most unsettling reports involve the feeling of being watched. Guests who linger alone in the quarters speak of an oppressive awareness, as if unseen figures stand in the shadows, monitoring their every move. This sensation is most often felt on the staircases and in the small rooms once occupied by keepers' families. Some visitors describe the uncanny impression of not being alone in bed at night, as if a figure hovers nearby, silently keeping vigil. Though frightening, these presences are rarely interpreted as hostile. Rather, they seem protective, as though the spirits still see themselves as guardians of both the lighthouse and its guests. Stories also circulate of voices carried on the wind. Whispers rise and fall in empty rooms, and on stormy nights, shouts have been heard near the shore, where shipwrecks once claimed lives. A few witnesses even report hearing the rhythmic sound of piano music drifting through the quarters, an eerie reminder of the isolation that once drove a young keeperess wife to cling to her piano for solace. According to legend, her music was silenced by tragedy, and some say her ghost continues to play, filling the lonely nights with spectral notes. The history of Sagoon Island Light is filled with both triumphs and hardships, and the spirits that remain seem tied to this enduring narrative. Sailors who relied on its beam, keepers who sacrificed their lives to storms and solitude, and families who endured hardship on its windswept shores, all appeared to have left something behind. For many, the hauntings of the keeper's quarters are less about fear and more about continuity, sign that the dedication to guarding the sea did not end with death. Even in modern times, when the lighthouse is automated and no longer requires the constant presence of keepers, the activity in the quarters persists. Guides, tourists, and researchers leave with chilling stories and deep respect for the unseen watchmen who refuse to abandon their post. The island's haunting reputation has only grown with each retelling, cementing Seguin as one of Maine's most atmospheric and ghostly locations. Standing on the island, with the endless sea stretching in every direction, and the beam of the lighthouse cutting through fog and darkness, it is easy to believe that the spirits are still there. They stride the paths, patrol the rooms, and open doors as they once did in life, forever dedicated to their eternal duty. The keeper's quarters, steeped in centuries of isolation and sacrifice, remain a living monument, not just to the history of the lighthouse, but to the persistence of those who refuse to leave their post. For anyone who visits, the feeling is unmistakable. Sagoon Island's guardians are still watching, their presence ensuring that the sea is never without a keeper. Eastern Point Light, in Rockport, Massachusetts, stands as a sentinel where the land meets the restless sea, a place where beauty and tragedy have long been intertwined. Established in 1832, the lighthouse was built to guide vessels safely into Gloucester Harbor, one of the busiest fishing ports on the Atlantic coast. Yet, despite the protective glow of its beacon, the surrounding waters have claimed countless ships and lives. Maritime disasters, sudden storms, and the relentless surge of waves against the rocky shore have left their mark on the lighthouse and its grounds. Over the years, stories of unexplained phenomena have grown around Eastern Point Light, creating a chilling reputation for being one of New England's most haunted beacons. The cliffs that surround the tower are steep and treacherous, often shrouded in fog that rolls in without warning. Fishermen and sailors once depended on the lighthouse to navigate these waters, but not all were fortunate enough to make it to shore. Shipwrecks littered the coast in the 19th and early 20th centuries, and many who perished at sea are believed to linger still, their presence woven into the very air of Eastern Point. Visitors describe a sense of unease that grows stronger as night falls, when the beam of the lighthouse sweeps across the water like a watchful eye. One of the most common reports from those who venture near the lighthouse is the sound of cries and whispers. These ghostly voices are often heard on quiet nights, carried on the wind as though the sea itself is calling out. Some describe the cries as desperate pleas for help, echoing the last moments of sailors lost in storms or dashed upon the rocks. Others claim the whispers are softer, almost conversational, like phantom keepers murmuring as they tended the light through long, lonely nights. These voices rarely seem aggressive, but they are chilling in their persistence, reminding visitors that Eastern Point has witnessed more than its share of sorrow. Shadows are another hallmark of the lighthouse's haunted reputation. Along the cliffs and near the tower, dark figures have been seen moving against the light, only to vanish when approached. Hikers and fishermen exploring the area often report fleeting glimpses of silhouettes where no one should be, their outlines sharp against the moonlit fog. Inside the lighthouse and its adjoining keeper's quarters, shadowy forms are said to pass across hallways and doorways, disappearing as soon as the light is turned on. Paranormal investigators who have studied the site note that these shadows often appear during storms, as if the spirits are stirred by the same forces of nature that once sealed their fate. The air itself around Eastern Point seems charged with mystery. Sudden cold drafts sweep across visitors, even on warm summer evenings. These icy gusts often appear to follow individuals as they move, chilling them to the bone. Some describe the sensation as though unseen figures are brushing past them, while others claim the cold is accompanied by a heavy pressure, a feeling of being watched from the shadows. This phenomenon is particularly common near the base of the tower and along the narrow cliffside paths, where the wind cannot easily explain the sudden changes in temperature. Legends also speak of former lighthouse keepers who may still linger at Eastern Point in its early years. Keeping the light was a grueling task, requiring constant vigilance and long nights spent battling the isolation of the coast. Keepers and their families lived with the knowledge that failure to maintain the beacon could mean disaster for countless sailors. Some visitors report seeing figures in old-fashioned clothing moving about the grounds, carrying lanterns or climbing the stairway inside the tower. These apparitions are thought to be the spectral remnants of dedicated keepers, still performing their duties long after death, unwilling to abandon their eternal watch. There are also stories of sailors who never made it to shore, whose restless spirits now haunt the coastline. Local lore describes apparitions of drenched men wandering the cliffs, their faces pale and hollow, before vanishing into mist. These phantom sailors are sometimes heard before they are seen, boots crunching on gravel, the sound of wet clothing dragging along the rocks, or faint coughs and gasps carried by the wind. Some believe these spirits are forever reliving their final, desperate struggle against the sea. The eerie atmosphere of Eastern Point Light is not confined to the land. Boaters approaching Gloucester Harbor after dark have reported seeing unusual lights near the cliffs, dancing in patterns that do not match the steady sweep of the lighthouse beam. Some interpret these lights as ghostly signals, perhaps from ships that were lost long ago. Fishermen tell of hearing voices calling across the water, even when no other boats are nearby. For many, the boundary between sea and spirit seems to dissolve entirely near the lighthouse, blurring the line between the living and the dead. What makes Eastern Point Light particularly compelling is the combination of history and atmosphere. The rocky coastline, the endless churn of waves, and the looming tower together create a setting where ghost stories feel not only possible, but inevitable. Unlike grand hotels or bustling mansions, lighthouses were built for solitude and vigilance, places where isolation and responsibility weighed heavily on those who lived there. The keeper's sacrifices, the sailor's tragedies, and the sheer harshness of the environment all seem to linger, leaving imprints that cannot easily be erased. Today, Eastern Point Light remains a striking landmark, admired for its rugged beauty and historical significance. Yet for those who venture close, especially after the sun has set, it is impossible to ignore the weight of its past. The whispers on the wind, the flicker of shadows on the cliffs, the sudden chill that grips the bones, all of these remind visitors that this lighthouse is more than a beacon. It is a monument to lives lost and duties carried out with unwavering devotion, a place where history and haunting are forever entwined. Standing on the cliffs, with the waves crashing below, and the beam of the lighthouse sweeping across the dark waters, one can almost sense the unseen figures keeping watch. They remain at Eastern Point, bound by tragedy and duty, their whispers and shadows testifying to a presence that endures beyond the grave. For those who listen, the message is clear. The sea remembers, and so do the spirits who guard its shores. Perched on the rugged and windswept edge of the Isles of Shoals, just off the coast where Maine meets New Hampshire, the Isles of Shoals light has stood for centuries as a sentinel against the sea's cruelty. Its beacon was first lit in the early 19th century to safeguard mariners navigating the perilous waters scattered with hidden reefs, sharp rocks, and unpredictable currents. Yet, despite its presence, the sea claimed countless vessels and lives. Those tragedies, steeped in salt and sorrow, have become inseparable from the light itself, and with them came whispers of hauntings that continue to this day. From the moment the lighthouse was constructed, its keepers endured long nights of isolation. They lived with the constant roar of the sea and the knowledge that failure to keep the lamp burning could mean death for sailors offshore. Over time, many reported strange experiences that could not be explained by wind, weather, or exhaustion. Lights within the tower would flicker and flare, even when lanterns were extinguished. Whispers were heard echoing through the stone walls, low voices that seemed to rise with the tide, carrying words just beyond recognition. Keepers swore they were not alone, and many believed the spirits of sailors lost in wrecks had tethered themselves to the light, guiding others away from the same fate. One of the earliest accounts came from a keeper in the mid-1800s, who reported seeing a spectral figure pacing the edge of the rocks at night. The apparition appeared dressed in tattered sailor's clothing, soaked as though just pulled from the ocean. The figure would stand at the cliff's edge, staring out over the black water before fading into mist. For years afterward, others claimed to see the same man, sometimes waving toward incoming ships as if warning them away from the dangerous shoals. Mariners who spotted the figure often credited him with saving their lives, steering them from the rocks in moments when the lighthouse's beam was obscured by fog. Sailors and fishermen who passed the Isles of Shoals Light began telling their own stories of ghostly encounters. Many spoke of phantom lights dancing on the waves, separate from the steady beam of the lighthouse. These lights would drift just ahead of their vessels, as though leading the way, before vanishing into the darkness. For some, these illuminations were omens of bad weather, appearing just before sudden storms tore across the coast. Others believed the lights were manifestations of keepers or sailors who had perished but remained bound to the sea, continuing their eternal duty of guidance and protection. Inside the lighthouse itself, phenomena were just as unsettling. Whispers carried along the spiral staircase, sometimes accompanied by the sensation of breath against the back of one's neck. Cold drafts swept through sealed rooms, causing lamps to sputter and doors to slam. A few keepers' families who lived in the quarters reported waking in the night to the sound of footsteps pacing the hallway, only to discover no one there. More chilling were the stories of children who spoke of visitors they saw looking in through the windows, figures in long coats or sailor-esque garb watching silently before fading into the night. One of the most enduring legends tied to Isles of Shoals Light is that of a keeper who, overwhelmed by the solitude and harshness of the job, met his end at the site. Locals claim his spirit never left. On stormy nights, some report seeing the faint glow of a lantern moving along the shoreline, bobbing as if carried by unseen hands. The keeper's presence is often felt most strongly in the tower, where sudden chills or the sound of distant humming fills the air. Paranormal investigators who have visited the site describe a sense of watchfulness, as if the spirit still tends the lamp, unwilling to abandon his post even in death. The surrounding waters carry their own lore. Fishermen often tell of hearing voices calling across the waves, desperate cries for help that vanish into the wind when approached. These phantom calls are said to echo the final moments of sailors who drowned in the treacherous currents. In calm weather, the whispers shift to something softer, gentle murmurs, like prayers or conversations carried across the water, reminding all who hear them that the sea holds memories it will not release. Even today, the Isles of Shoals Light retains its haunted reputation. Modern visitors report the same inexplicable phenomena that plagued the keepers of old. Shadows drift across the cliffs with no living source. Lights flicker inside the tower even when the electricity has been cut. On foggy nights, boaters still see figures standing near the lantern room, gazing outward with unwavering focus. Some skeptics dismiss these experiences as tricks of light or sound, products of isolation and imagination. But those who have felt the icy grip of unseen hands or heard the unmistakable footsteps on the tower stairs know otherwise. The haunting of Isles of Shoals Light is not one of malice but of vigilance. The spirits here seem bound, not by anger but by purpose, fulfilling their roles as guardians long after their deaths. They are the echoes of men who kept the lamp burning through storm and isolation, and of sailors whose final hope was pinned to its glow. To this day, when the waves crash against the shoals and the lighthouse beam cuts through the fog, many believe the living are not alone. The dead still stand watch, ensuring that ships steer clear of danger. The Isles of Shoals Light is more than a navigational landmark. It is a place where the veil between past and present is thin, where the sea carries voices of the departed, and the cliffs bear the shadows of those who refuse to leave. Each whisper on the wind, each flicker of light in the tower, is a reminder that the duty of guiding ships has never ended. For the spirits that remain tethered to this lonely outpost, their service continues eternally, lighting the way for mariners who venture into the unforgiving waters of the Atlantic. As the fog rolls back over Maine's rugged coastline and the waves crash against the cliffs, the spirits of the keepers and sailors linger, still guiding the ships from beyond. Though their time on Earth has passed, their watch never ends. So, as you leave these haunted shores behind, remember to respect the past, honor the stories whispered by the wind, and maybe, just maybe, keep an eye out for a friendly shadow guiding you safely home. Thank you for joining me on this journey through Maine's most haunted lighthouses. Until next time, may your nights be full of wonder and your curiosities safely explored.